And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the big shows on the radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina, and hello, world. Great to be with you on the internationally acclaimed Rob Brown Show. I am Rob. He is the great one, Lonzo, and we are thrilled to be with you today. Zoe, what's up, big dog? Happy whatever today is.
We are known to
full goats.
Well, you kind of did that. I mean, you know,
I don't apologize.
Yeah,
I know for a fact that we have been listened to at least one time in Germany. And because we have been listened to one time in Germany, I would like to go ahead and say that we are internationally acclaimed. I feel like that statement is factually accurate. Good to be with you guys. Thanks for hanging out.
I'm just hearing in my head, I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock the microphone.
My name is Rob.
Because I get stupid. Okay, anyway.
Thanks for hanging out. Phone lines open, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text lines open at 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read it on the air. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show. Tweet us at Lonzo on Word. Tweet us all at ESPN Upstate. I am going to jump straight into the lunch breakdown today. Not necessarily because they are any longer than usual, but because I suspect that our third topic is going to be a multi-segment topic that is going to evolve into some other conversations as well. So let's just go ahead and rip right into this bad boy. He said optimistically while waiting. Hey, we did it.
Nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Dexter says, I once got busy in an Odyssey bathroom.
I don't want to know who you are.
That's a song lyric, man. I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Do the Humpty Hump.
Oh, okay. That's totally different.
Well, the texter says, Rob, ask Lonzo what you feed an invisible cat.
Let's not go into some lame things that were not funny. I just it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Wow. Well, it's a good thing we never do anything not funny today.
Yeah, I couldn't fix it. It was so bad. You know, I'd like to think sometimes I can, you know, throw some snark in there and fix it. It was pretty bad.
Well, then let's not go there. Let's just say go to the lunch breakdown of 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. These will be the items you're discussing around the water cooler or the lunch table today. So let's get into it, shall we? Let me grab clip number 2. If maybe he does mine today. We're going to see. So for those of you that did not listen to the show yesterday, the entire cluster of radio stations is kind of rolling over. It's the system that we are all using to bring you all of the outstanding programming you hear across our multiple stations every day. But there have been some kinks in the hose, so to speak, that we are working through day by day. Hopefully we'll have those all worked out by the end of the week. But suffice to say, there have been some challenges lately. But are we?
Yeah, we're good.
Theoretically,
it's a lot. It's a lot of fun to push a button and then nothing happens. But you know, we kind of were prepared for that. I just want to point out, and I don't have to do this. This is entirely my fault. I didn't have it ready. I apologize. I was
you don't
dealing.
Have to throw your own self under the bus.
Yeah. You know what? When it's always my fault, I might as well take credit when it actually is my fault. And I'm sorry, I didn't have it ready.
Yesterday, Matt Rule. I'm not letting you do it any further. Yesterday, Matt Rule was asked at his press conference how he's handling working Cam Newton back into the offense. And he said 2 things. Number 1, he told how much of the practice reps Cam's getting. And number 2, he said that folks in Charlotte seem to be excited, including the Panthers' biggest fans. Here's what Matt Rule said yesterday.
Well, I took my daughter to the daddy-daughter dance, and I had two on Friday night, and I had two little girls, 5 and 7, come up and asked me if I was the coach of the Panthers, and I said, yes, I am. And then they said, is Cam really back? So I'm assuming if that's being brought up at the daddy-daughter dance, it's probably being brought up everywhere. And I think it's great. I think it's great that people are excited. And, I'll say I've appreciated the support of the people who supported us, all year long. We'll give Cam most of the reps this week. PJ will get reps, obviously, as he always has. But I will give Cam most of the reps and try to get him as brought up to speed as possible. I thought he did a great job last week. Having 10 plays that he was kind of ready for, 10 to 15. So we'll start getting him ready, and if he's ready to start, great. And if it's if he's not quite ready yet to do everything, then obviously PJ's available. It's kind of that plan right now. So there's a lot to learn when you take the 2-minute package and the end of game package and the final plays. There's a lot to learn in a short amount of time. It's hard to do. So we'll do as best we can and see where we are later in the week, but he will get most of the reps.
So we have found out that 2 things are happening. Number 1, all the girls at the daddy-daughter dance are asking Matt Rule if Cam's going to play this weekend.
To that end,
I love that, by the way.
What if they came up to him and said, "Are you the coach of the Panthers? Why did you get rid of Cam?" What if the opposite had happened? How would he have answered that?
Remember, did you watch we've all seen Remember the Titans, right? Can we all point out that you've never seen Remember the Titans?
No.
What are you doing with your life?
It came out. What year did it come out?
Who cares?
When I was possibly didn't have access to cable or anything because I was fairly poor in my young life.
It came out in 2000.
All right, so I was busy. Okay, all right. So
You haven't seen Remember the Titans? It's like one of the best football movies ever made.
I played high school football. Why do I need to watch a movie about it?
It's not about high school.
See, here's the problem with this analogy, with this whatever it is. People assume because these movies are considered the greatest of all time in certain genres that everyone has seen them. And I haven't. Just like there's some movies I've seen that you haven't seen. I apologize, okay? If you would like to bring me the DVD or give me access to watch it, you and I will sit down and I will watch it with you. That way you can make sure that I watched the movie. I'm sorry I didn't see Remember the Titans. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I just, sorry. So Mr. Baseball.
I feel sad for you than anything because it's a bona fide great movie.
By the way, like a lot of movies, when you don't see them and you hear them referenced a lot, you see 10,000 clips from them. So if I sit down and watch it, I probably would find out that I've seen the majority of the movie because of all the clips I've seen.
I doubt it, because if you've seen the majority of the movie, you would have sought it out to finish the movie because it's a great movie. Anyway.
Maybe I get it and Friday Night Lights mixed up.
Text says, "You're lame, Lonzo. You must not like Denzel Washington."
That's not true.
Everybody likes Denzel.
Yeah, how can you not
He's
like Denzel Washington?
He's Denzel. Another texter says, "Just watch it, Lonzo. It's really good." And another texter says, "It wasn't even that good. It's set." No, what? No.
All right, let me throw this out there. In Upstate, if you want to check it out. Really, Rob, throwing shade about not.
Watching that movie, Steven. We'll talk about it later. You're welcome.
Did you watch post credit? Both
yes.
Okay. All right.
Wong's incredible. That's all I want to say. All right. Anyway, I agree with texter number 2. Just watch it, Lonzo. It's really good. We'll come back to that. But the point I was going to make there is that in that movie, Coach Yost's daughter is the best character in the whole movie. He's got a daughter. She's like 8 years old, and she's more of a football mind than most of the dudes in that movie. It's incredible. And I just, this was really just supposed to be a one-off line about how I love the fact that there are young ladies in Matt Rule's daughter's class that were like, that's the coach of the Panthers, and I need to go grill him about Cam Newton. That was all this was going to be, but instead it turned into a dissertation. Anyway,
I'm just gonna turn my mic off. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
not your
It's just-
fault.
It is my fault.
It is because you haven't seen Remember the Titans. It is your fault. So Cam Newton's getting the
Stupid
majority,
Roncho.
the majority of the snaps. Texture says, wasn't that movie about Marshall? No, that movie about Marshall was called We Are Marshall. Remember the Titans had Denzel, and it was about a small community, a local high school in Virginia that became one of the first integrated football teams. And
So the Mox wasn't the starting quarterback.
no, but you've heard people go, sunshine. That's where it comes from.
Is that so? When
That's what they
that's-
called Trevor Lawrence when he was at Clemson. Sunshine.
So that wasn't original.
Sunshine is from California, y'all.
Okay.
He's from California.
So something about Clemson wasn't original. Okay.
Anyway, Cam's going to start Sunday. Item number
Jeff
two.
Al-
Number 2 on the lunch breakdown. Team USA taking on Jamaica tonight in World Cup qualifiers. Jamaica is going to be desperate for 3 points through their first 7 games. They have only 6 points overall in the World Cup qualifying table. It puts them in 7th, I believe, off the top of my head. The Americans, of course, on top of the table as it stands right now. The Americans have the number 1 spot by way of yet another 2-0 victory over Mexico last Friday. The Jamaicans effectively must win tonight if they want any chance of being the scrappy underdogs that pluck their way into the World Cup this year, or excuse me, next year. The Americans, on the other hand, want to create some breathing room over the next few matches, and 3 points here would go a long way. The good news for them is that Mexico also plays Canada this evening, and it is at Canada, which means they are going to have a legitimate, actual, for real home field advantage, because right now in Quebec, Canada, where that game is set to be played this evening, it is a blizzard. 8 inches of snow expected between now and kickoff. And when they do kick off, temperature will be hovering around 20 degrees tonight. It's going to be cold, y'all. So the good news for the Americans is that the 2 most likely outcomes in that match are either Canada takes the full 3 points, nips on the heels of the Americans, but does move the Mexicans back a little bit, or the second most likely outcome is we have a draw because the weather is hot garbage. And both Canada and Mexico take 1 point. Again, here's where it gets interesting for the Americans. They are the class team in this matchup with Jamaica. They are, on paper and on the field, better than Jamaica. But they have also been better than Haiti. They have been better than Trinidad and Tobago. They have been better than Costa Rica, and yet have routinely come up with draws and losses in previous World Cup qualifying efforts. This time around, the Americans seem to have some pace of play. I'll be interested to see what the starting 11 is for the Americans tonight. We know Weston McKennie is going to be out because he got a second yellow card, a very much undeserved yellow card against Mexico last Friday. So he is suspended for this match. We also know, obviously, Gio Reyna, who is still out with injury. Christian Pulisic, who came on late in the game against Mexico, will be not in the starting 11, will be off the bench as a reserve, but you got to wonder, does he get a little bit more time? Do you sub him in maybe a little bit before the 74th minute tonight and give him a little extra time to be creative around the pitch? That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're waiting for. We are going to find out this evening. Team USA taking on Jamaica. By the way, that game at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That game's at 5 p.m. this afternoon. We'll talk more about it later on in the show. Also, keep in mind that we mentioned this, your reigning, defending, undisputed Greenville Triumph on the road this Saturday night at Union Omaha in Omaha, Nebraska, playing for a USL League One championship and the rights to keep the Big Green Belt right here in Greenville. You know, we're going to be talking much more soccer throughout the week. Finally, item number 3 on the lunch breakdown today. Justin Fuente is out at Virginia Tech. He and the Hokies have mutually agreed to part ways. He is no longer the head coach. Why do I bring this up? Why am I mentioning one specific coaching spot? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, because there is a growing contingent of people in our area who think that Virginia Tech will make the phone call to Shane Beamer to bring the head coach of the Gamecocks up and let him take over his daddy's spot in Blacksburg. I have seen that coming out from some high-level names, all right? Some folks that are on the big sticks saying that Beamer's going to get the call from Blacksburg, going to get the call from Va-Tech to leave Columbia and head up there. And I'm going to tell you, nope. Nope. And I'm going to tell you nope for a couple of reasons. And here's where I do the radio part. I'm going to tell you what those reasons are when we come back in the next segment. All right? I have heard a lot of names say that he is going to get the call from Blacksburg, and that if he gets the call from Blacksburg, that he will take the call from Blacksburg and will head up to Virginia Tech to take over his daddy's program. I don't think that's the case, and I'll tell you why when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. The great one's on the buttons. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Presents your ESPN
All right.
Upstate
So I didn't
Sports
get
Center update powered by The Score. Furman basketball on Monday night, they come up short, losing to Belmont in overtime by a 95-89 score. They suffered their first loss of the season. Mike Bothwell had a game-high 23 points on 8 of 16 shooting. Furman returns home to Timmons Arena as they are going to host Radford and Navy coming up this weekend. Of course, we are your home for Furman basketball. Wofford, they pick up a win over Erskine, 98-41, and Clemson basketball, they had no problem defeating Bryant Monday night by a 93-70 score. All 5 starters in double figures. They'll play Thursday against Temple. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
High school football fans, I'm Cole Bryson. Get the scores, discussion, interviews, and more on the Saturday Morning Scramble powered by Founders Federal Credit Union. Every Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. There's a snap. It's a reverse. Quay Meadows, right
Great
side.
Great
Touchdown,
Great
Quay Meadows. It is a one-score score, game.
Saturday Morning Scramble. ESPN Upstate. Everywhere on the Odyssey app. Powered by Ingles Markets. Official grocery store of the Saturday Morning Scramble.
Joint pain relief doesn't have to mean drugs and surgery. Now there's a better alternative that patients are raving about.
John Boy and Billy here for our friends at QC Kinetics, local medical professionals that use natural biologic treatments, highly concentrated healing properties from your own body put directly into the affected joint, restoring and repairing damaged tissue the way your body was designed to heal.
If you're tired of the Band-Aid solutions like drugs and steroids and you really want to avoid surgery, you need to check out QC Kinetics, regenerative, restorative, natural treatments for knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, pain in your hips.
Don't continue to suffer and don't go in for surgery until you check this out. See if you're a candidate at QC Kinetics.
Call 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. No surgical pain relief with lasting results. 864-448-3772.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show opens Thanksgiving night at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Drive through a nighttime Christmas wonderland as 32 million colors set the sky ablaze, synchronized to the music of your favorite holiday classics. UpstateLights.com.
Text us anytime at 71307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
All right, so I've heard a lot of people, a lot of big talking heads saying that Shane Bieber got the call. You got Georgia. Now, if he was over Russ, maybe Auburn, you know, either one of those.
This is crazy. And even if you were to get the call, not
Carolina, though, some will take it that way. As Lonzo said, trying to be harsh. I'm just trying to be honest with you, Gamecocks. I didn't understand why he got the call in the first place, right? I didn't understand why he got the call. I don't know why Jamie Chadwell didn't get the call. Billy Napier didn't get the call. And by the way, I got $1 to a donut that says Jamie Chadwell is going to end up at Virginia Tech. Or Billy Napier is. One or the other. One of those two guys are going to end up there. In fact, don't be surprised if you don't end up seeing Justin Fuente switching spots with one of those guys, right? Jamie Chadwell gets the call from Coastal Carolina to go try out at Va Tech, and Fuente slides into that position because no P5 teams are going to touch Justin Fuente right now. But I levied the same criticism at South Carolina that I'm levying at Virginia Tech now. Why would he be the guy that gets the call? What has Shane Beamer showed me? What has he proven to me, right? Now, if South Carolina comes out of the gate and puts the hurt on Mizzou this past weekend, that's the first little green circle around Shane Beamer. He figured something out. He got the boys to start playing for him. He got the boys to get a little hype. That is a green check next to Shane Beamer. But that didn't happen. I'm still giving Shane Beamer. This is not me taking Shane Beamer and picking him up and moving him out of the grace period. He's still in a grace period as far as I'm concerned, right? Overcoming the mess that Will Muschamp left is not going to be easy. So he's still in that little grace period that I built for him. I'm giving him 3 years. I'm giving him 3 years. But if somebody at Virginia Tech, if I was doing this radio show in Virginia Tech right now, and I started hearing clamorings around Blacksburg, that the folks up there in Hokie Land were looking at Shane Beamer, I'd have the same conversation on the air there that I had here last offseason. Why? Why? What does he have on the resume that makes you think, with the power vacuum in the ACC, right? Because there is one. With the power vacuum in the ACC, what does this cat have on his resume that makes you think he's the one to elevate them to the next level? And again, windows like what's happening in the ACC right now don't open very often, where there's just nobody there. And again, maybe Clemson's back next year. But if you're Va Tech, why are you making that call? And I asked the same question of South Carolina. The difference is now, despite the fact that I thought it was a bad idea then, South Carolina's made the call. And despite the fact that I thought that it was a bad idea then, Shane Beamer has absolutely embraced that culture, embraced the Cola way, started his new welcome home slogan, got the banner hung on the side of Willie B, got the fans invested. I got a lot of fans that are Gamecock, a lot of friends that are Gamecock fans, and they're in. They're in. And I get it. It's exciting. He's young. He's energetic. But I compared you guys to the Willie Taggart era at Florida State. The way that a lot of Gamecocks fans feel about Shane Beamer was the same way that a lot of Florida State fans felt about Willie Taggart when he showed up. He's young. He's fresh. He's exciting. He's got a passion. It's a dream job for him. He's got pictures of him wearing FSU gear when he was a kid. How'd that work out? It didn't. Why? Because he wasn't ready for the job. Hey, and for the record, he had more experience than Shane Beamer had at being a head coach. He had done it down at USF. He had done it for a season up at Oregon. He had experience as a Power 5 coach in the Pac-12. And it didn't work out because that job was above him at that point. Now, I'm not saying that Shane Beamer inevitably won't work out. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm either optimistic nor pessimistic. I don't know. I've seen some things out of the Shane Beamer era that I circle and go, hey, that's a positive. And I've seen a lot of things that I circle and go, that's a negative. And I don't know which one is better. But what I do know is I don't see Virginia Tech making that call if Virginia Tech is looking to fill the power vacuum in the ACC. When Shane Beamer got signed to South Carolina, here's the one difference, Lonzo. When South Carolina was looking for a head coach, there was no power vacuum in the Southeastern Conference. Alabama was on top as king. Georgia was a step away. Looks like they've taken it. Texas A&M under Jimbo Fisher is putting together some top-tier recruiting classes and may have the number one recruiting class in the country next year when it's all said and done. Florida under Dan Mullen at the time looked like they were going to threaten Georgia in the East. There was the opposite of a power vacuum in the SEC. If you made a hire in the SEC last year, it was a project hire. It was a we got to take some time to fill this role hire. We're going to take time to let this guy grow, etc. Virginia Tech right now, windows where you're in the search for a new head coach and the power vacuum's open in your conference at a P5 level, they don't happen very often. There's one in the ACC and there's one in the Pac-12 right now. And one of them, if not both, is going to slam shut this year. Virginia Tech is not looking for a coach whose only head coaching experience is literally this year. And by the way, and I'm sorry to say, correct me if I'm wrong here, Zoe, isn't all that impressive, to be honest.
He's a 500 coach right now. I mean, that's what he is.
Might be a 500 coach when the year's over.
Might be.
And he's got 2 games. He's going to be a double-digit underdog in to get there. You guys are probably, let me check out the betting line for this weekend against Auburn. But it would not surprise me to see South Carolina be a double-digit dog in both games. And he's got to pull a show. And again, they were a 19.5-point underdog when they took on Florida. And they ended up walking the Gators, right? Does not mean that that's what will happen against Auburn nor Clemson. Clemson looks better, and Auburn's been off and on all year. Auburn's a 7.5-point favorite in this. Shane Beamer's got to win one of two games where he is at the least a 7.5-point underdog to be a 500 coach. Virginia Tech has a bubble right now that they can fill in the ACC if they get the right guy right now, that they can at least compete for an ACC crown. Shane Beamer's not that cat. Not right now. He's not. He may be in 3 or 4 years, but he ain't right now. And they don't have time to make a to make a big time project move, which is what bringing Shane Beamer in would be.
Yeah, he absolutely is not the right guy right now. You're right now, and it's laughable that some people think that he could be, or that he's going to get that phone call. Again, it makes no sense at all. If you're saying this, you're just trying to make people mad because he hasn't done anything. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, if he gets that call when he turns it around and they're better than 500, then I would absolutely get it. And if he went there eventually someday after being successful at South Carolina, I would completely get it. But right now, doesn't make any sense.
I want to say this. I am not going to accuse anybody higher up than me of just trying to rile up a fan base. I'm not going to accuse anybody higher up than me of being a troll. But I have run out of good arguments. I'm not saying there aren't any. I'm saying I don't know what they are. What's the argument that A, Vatek calls Beamer and B, Beamer takes it? The only argument, though, is Vatek wants to put a Beamer back in position because it's a legacy hire, and Beamer wants to go coach where his daddy coach. That's the only reason that they have that in common. That they want Frank's kid, and that Frank's kid wants to go to where Frank used to work. That's the only argument I've got, because nothing outside of that makes sense as to why Vatek makes that call or Beamer takes it.
This seems to be something that was made up out of thin air. Someone just speculating, you know what? What if this happened this way? It makes no sense. I don't get it. I really don't get it. If Beamer was undefeated right now, or even if South Carolina was, had only 2 losses and the rest were wins, maybe I might understand it, but not right now, not when he hasn't proven anything yet.
Yeah. Again, I agree with you, Zoe. I agree. This conversation seemed to come out of nowhere. Like, it came out of nowhere. It was like Justin Fuente might be fired one day, and then the next day it's Shane Beamer is abandoning South Carolina to go to Virginia. And I'm like, what? Where did that? What? He didn't even know that job was going to be open 12 hours ago. How is he all of a sudden going to be taking the phone call to go? Right? There were a lot of us that thought Justin Fuente was on the way out, but none of us knew. And then all of a sudden, Shane Beamer's looking at the job. Come on now. Let's see. Texter says, ESPN, Beamer got the call to South Carolina because Ray Tanner is an idiot. Another texter says, ESPN, how about my boy Debo, I-Town rep? That's right. Debo had a big night last night. Did you see that chain dude threw up, though? Woo, hefty. Texter says, South Carolina is not lucky enough for Shane Beamer to leave.
Already. I mean, what did you expect this year? Did you expect them to be undefeated?
Yeah.
Still has Muschamp's guys.
Yeah.
Give him another year or so. See what he does with his people.
Another texter says, Shane, big nope on Virginia Tech. Look, I think down the road that maybe he goes there to coach his daddy's program, but what's the reason he goes right now from his because here's the thing. If he goes there, Zoe, and it doesn't work out and he gets fired from Vatek down the line, not only is he the guy that couldn't make it work at South Carolina, because that'll be the rep, and couldn't make it work at Virginia Tech, but he's the guy that will abandon you mid-contract if he likes somewhere better. I ain't hiring that guy.
He's not good enough to be that guy yet.
Yeah.
He's not Nick Saban. He's not some of those guys who can do that and get away with it. You got to prove yourself first.
Yeah, if he had a couple of SEC championships under his belt, people would take the gamble. Tell you what, in this job right here, one strike against you when you turn in your resume to get a job is Do you hop jobs every 2 years? If you're hopping jobs every 2 years, you had better put some hardware on the table to justify taking the risk, right? If you were me before you got here and I had job hopped every couple of years, they'd go, we don't think you're going to be around long enough. We're good at somebody who's going to be here. But if I take that big fat trophy for South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year and put it on the table, now they go, maybe we take the risk. Shane Beamer doesn't have a South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. Only a few of us do, and 2 of them are on this station. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. We are the Titans, the mighty, mighty Titans.
Wait a minute. So the Tony the Tiger thing was taken from that movie?
Tis the season for what? For the Upstate Holiday Light Show. Where's that at Greenville Pickens Speedway? Millions of incredible lights, a kids' light zone, 600-foot light tunnel, even a drive-through petting zoo. Do we need tickets? Sure, but fast passes are available. Plus, it gets the hubby into the holiday spirit, so we're not doing that last-minute thing. Where do I score some tickets? Just go to upstatelights.com. We should all go together.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show opens Thanksgiving night at Greenville Pickens Speedway. UpstateLights.com.
With just one spray of Microban 24, your hard surfaces are sanitized for up to 24 hours. Touch after touch.
So 6 hours from now?
Still sanitized.
12 hours?
Yep.
18 hours?
We're really doing this.
24 hours?
When used as directed, one spray of Microban keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria touch after touch for, up to 24 hours.
Wow.
Microban 24, the sanitizer 4 out of 5 doctors would use in their own homes. We landed the contract!
Finance Web Designs just landed the gig of a lifetime.
It starts next week.
Their staff needs to double.
There's blood out of my mouth. Uh-huh.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast. Indeed you do. InstaMatch instantly connects with quality candidates whose resumes and Indeed match your sponsored job description. .com/credit and get $75 towards your first month.
500,000 businesses connect using Zoom, a platform for video, phone, chat, and conference rooms. Zoom enables real-time collaboration no matter where your teams are. Global enterprises trust the easy-to-use, reliable, and secure Zoom platform to power high-performing teams. Empower your workforce.
By the way, Steven, I still haven't seen it. Probably will wait for Disney Plus release. Ghostbusters comes out this week. I'm definitely going to be going to see that and, other stuff.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. I think I've laid out the argument. I have heard some folks saying that when it's all said and done, that Shane Beamer, if he receives the phone call from Virginia Tech, would go. And if he does not, then he would not. I don't see, and this is for two different directions. Number one, why does Virginia Tech make that call? Make the best argument. The only argument that I can see, and I'm not saying this is the only argument, but the only argument that I can see is they want Beamer's kid, right? But here's the thing. Lonzo, you've been in this game for a very long time. What happens in a cutthroat business like college football, like the one we're in? What happens in a cutthroat business if you start making decisions based on feel-goods?
You're probably not going to be around the whole long.
Yeah, you lose. You lose. You start making a decision based on what feels good instead of what is logically and reasonably correct, you lose. And Virginia Tech's in a very unique situation right now in the fact that the ACC is a power vacuum right now. There is some room for Vatek with the right hiring here to take a jump forward, considering how bad the rest of the conference is right now. And it is. Now, like I said, maybe Clemson jumps back next year. But if you're Vatek, you got to attack this as if they won't. And that's going to be my question. Outside of, hey, his dad used to be here, why would they make that call? What has Beamer done? And Beamer had been at South Carolina 3 or 4 years at this point and had, let's say a trip to the SEC championship game under his belt. That makes a little more sense. But also, if Shane Beamer had been here 2 or 3 years and had a trip to the SEC championship game under his belt, why would he leave South Carolina to go to Blacksburg, Virginia?
Yeah, I would say the only way he would go is if he had 3 winning seasons. Winning seasons can be 1 over 500, maybe just a couple over 500, but not really sniffing getting to vie for the championship. Then you go to the ACC where you got a better shot at.
My second thing is if Shane Beamer was to take that call and consider it, there's only 2 reasons to do it, right? Reason number 1 is they're going to pay you more money. And I don't know that Virginia Tech can do that right now, especially considering they're going to have some money to owe to Justin Fuente. I don't know if Virginia Tech's going to make the money, but I'm not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I don't know all the financial details. The second reason is he's emotionally invested in taking over a job that used to belong to his dad. But Lonzo, I believe all of the hype, all of the excitement, all of the emotion that Shane Beamer has showed about making South Carolina the football program the fans want it to be, I believe all of that is genuine from Shane Beamer. From the one quick conversation I've had with him in Columbia, right after he got hired, to following on Twitter and Instagram and all the social media accounts and all that. And look, you can paint any picture you want about yourself on social media if you know what you're doing. But from the handful of discussions I've had with guys who have daily interactions with Shane Beamer, I genuinely believe that the emotion, the love towards the Gamecock program is genuine, is legitimate. I think he wants to be the man in Columbia. And I don't think he's just going to turn his nose up at that to take a job that probably harder to be successful at Blacksburg than in South Carolina, maybe.
I don't know about that.
What's a better job?
I would say the better job, South Carolina.
I would too.
Yeah, I'm just because the conference they're in and where it's at and all that kind of stuff. But you probably could win easier.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And especially right now, again, especially while there's a power vacuum in the ACC. There's room for
it used to be Clemson and everybody else, and
right now it's everybody.
It's everybody. Yeah, probably an anomaly. Probably next year Clemson gets back to where they were.
I guess we shouldn't.
But we can't say that for sure.
I guess we shouldn't say it's everybody. We should say it's nobody. It's probably the more accurate.
Well, nobody is still everybody. It's
All right. Your thoughts are welcome. 844-GSP ESPN Texas on the Ingles Market text line at 71307-71307. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1 after this. Rob Lonzo and you, it's ESPN Upstate.
Center here at the Upstate Construct Support Mascot, ESPN Upstate. High 69 and Fortnite will severe low 48. Wednesday sunshine high 70 degrees. Thursday forecast for wind shower break above the clouds and sunshine lows high 71. Meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on ESPN Upstate. Look at 63.
Coverage of the NFL.
It's a marquee Week 11 cross-conference showdown. The Dallas Cowboys hit the road to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, myself for all the action as Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes duel it out. Can the Cowboys make a statement on the road, or will the Chiefs continue to hit their stride? It's the Cowboys and the Chiefs. If it's the NFL, it's right here. Sunday afternoon at 4. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
The ones who believe only quitters and the game is hot. The type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Hey, it's ESPN Upstate's Mark Ryan. Join me at Ingles Markets this and every Thursday from 3 to 7 with a special live edition of Offsides with Mark Ryan. This Thursday, we'll be at 1500 Gear Highway Travelers Rest. Brought to you by Ingles Markets on ESPN Upstate.
Do you need a new roof or think you do? I'd like to talk to you. My name is Paul Campbell, and I've been fixing and replacing roofs in the Upstate for over 15 years. If you have questions about the condition of your roof or possible storm damage, call me and I will personally come out and check your roof and give you an honest assessment and a fair price. Call me today at 864-346-3121. That's 864-346-3121. Or find me at rooferpaul.com. That's rooferpaul.com.
Can you pick winners? Well, then you can win cash. It's that.
So I got another character up to level 14 yesterday.
And then?
And Cameron was playing Halo. So it finally downloaded. So I jumped off to go play with him, but then he was playing with other people. So I came back to Skyrim and got the black screen. And he's like, why don't you just play something else? It's like, no, I'm going to keep messing with this till I figure out what's causing it to do it.
I put Skyrim back on the one last night because I've decided that for the sake of inspiration, I'm going to create Andre Ravage in Skyrim and not allow myself to fall into the trap of always eventually evolving into a sneak archer. I'm going to actually play a two-handed barbarian. But I also put Halo Infinite on so I can start playing that. Because I realized I hadn't seen anybody on Warzone in a while, and I realized everybody had taken a break because the new Warzone just dropped. And then I saw a bunch of my Warzone buddies on Halo last night, so I'm like, oh, I guess we went ahead and made the switch.
It was a huge launch and successful, which is surprising with the amount of people that were on there. I thought it was going to crash, but it doesn't. I haven't seen any stories where it did, so I probably will be on there tonight. I went in, you can customize your character and stuff. I went in and customized my character to the degree that I can, and now I'm just waiting to play. But I want to play with randos.
All right, putting a bow on hour number one here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. I want to throw this little tidbit of information out at you. We have learned, and this is for you Braves fans out there who are continuing to celebrate your World Series champions. This is not great news, though I don't think it's the end of the world, so don't get hyper anxiety just yet. John Heyman of the MLB Network has reported that representatives for 2021 World Series champion Freddie Freeman have indeed met with representative of the New York Yankees. Heyman has reported that the Yankees are in the market for a first baseman and that they called up Freddie Freeman. Freeman, of course, has only ever played under the Braves banner and has made it clear that he wants to return to Atlanta. But you got to wonder, Lonzo, there's for everybody. For everybody, there is a number, right? Everybody's got a price. There's a point where you go, yes, I love my hometown. I'll give my hometown the hometown discount. And then the guy across the street just keeps drawing zeros on the end of a paycheck. And at some point, he's going to put the zero down that makes you go, okay, I really love Atlanta, but that's a lot of money. And if there's a team that's unafraid to put that one last zero on the paycheck to make it worth Freddie's while to hear them out to move on, it's either the Yankees or the Dodgers. Those two teams do not give a gosh darn about money, about luxury tax, about any of that. So I would suspect that Freddie is likely hearing out the Yankees, not because he's genuinely interested in making the move. I would suspect Freddie is hearing out the Yankees because he wants to see what his free agent market money looks like, right? How much would the Yankees be willing to come off it in order to bring Freddie Freeman to New York? How much would the Dodgers, the Red Sox, whoever, be willing to come off it in order to move Freddie out of the ATL? And what's Freddie's reaction to it? I'm thinking that Freddie's just listening to see what kind of numbers he attracts, what kind of offers he attracts. But if you're the Braves, you better get on the horse now. You made him a qualifying offer. He turned it down. He said no. What are you going to do now that you know the Yanks have his ear? We'll talk more about that later on in the show. We got soccer talk coming down the corner. Joe Giglio of BetQL joins us in a few minutes as well to give you some hot picks for the weekend. All that more on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. The Atlanta Braves announcing that they have signed veteran catcher Manny Pena to a 2-year contract that has a total value of $8 million, as he'll make $3.5 million this upcoming season and then $4.5 million in 2023. The contract also includes a $4 million club option for the 2024 season that does not come with a buyout. Travis Darno, the starting catcher for the Braves.
Kick, as soon as you get it hooked up, throw Halo on, buddy. We're going back old school.
I probably, unless something changes, will be on there tonight playing.
The Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
I don't mind playing with other people, but I'd rather play with people I know, because when I suck the first couple times, I don't want to hear about how bad it is unless it's from someone I know.
The big brain moment is just to always suck, and then nobody has expectations.
Well, there's that. I haven't played Halo in a while, but I did play Halo a bunch, so.
Show where Carmine swims with the fishes. See you too for me. Hey, Carmine, why don't we take a little boat ride, huh? We know it was you. We know you snitched. And rat, hope you can swim with concrete shoes on, Carmine.
QC in the first break.
Tony Baselli and I will have the call from Atlanta. The Falcons host the 6-4 Patriots. New England's on a 4-game winning streak and coming off a blowout victory over the Browns. Can Mac Jones and the Pats keep their resurgence on track against Matt Ryan and the Falcons? On Thursday Night Football. Thursday night at 8. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate. And check this out.
An official Rob Brown rundown.
Yeah.
Here only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. and welcome back. Good to be with you. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is at the helm today. Join us on the Facebook stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, twitter.com/Lonzo one word, or go to the YouTube app. If you have YouTube on your television, you go to the YouTube app and search The Rob Brown Show. You'll find my channel, and every show is streamed live there. So if you're watching on a smart television, you can actually pull the show and put it up on your TV, just like you're watching ESPN, but, less shouty. That's actually not true. It's probably more shouty, but for different reasons, okay? I wanted to get into a conversation that I've kind of seen pop up on social media a handful of times recently, and it is something that I think has been a major discussion point in sports talk broadcasting on all mediums, from television shows to radio shows to podcasts to websites. And it is the premise of conversation versus clickbait, right? Now, I'm going to start the foundation of this conversation as such. At the end of the day, the rule for us on this side of the microphone, keyboard, or camera is get as much attention as you can, right? That's the rule for us. The more eyeballs, the more ears that are tuned into your product, the better you're going to do. The best, most genuine, honest, legit sports talk dude with zero hot takes, if he doesn't get as many clicks, eyeballs, and ears as the Hot Take Express, Skip Bayless, you're not going to get as close, right? If he's getting more clicks and eyeballs than you are. Which is why, and I've seen people in this business on both sides of the discussion. There are those that become masters, wizards in the world of the Hot Take Express. And I've seen people who are adamantly against the Hot Take Express. There are people in this business on both sides of that particular aisle. And there are some people who make it big riding the Hot Take Express, Skip. And there are people who make it big by being not hot take artists. They're just real. They're just who they are. And I'm not saying one side is better than the other. What I'm saying is there is a difference. Lonzo and I have had this discussion many times. Neither of us wants to be a hot take artist. I have too much fun being me doing this job, right? I love to be me doing this job. I love to be able to sit at a bar at night and have somebody come up to me and go, "You're Rob Brown," and go, "Yeah," and not have to put on a face, not have to put on a character to keep the kayfabe up. All right? I love being able to do that. As a matter of fact, last night I had to go up to drop something off to some of the guys in the Reedy River Riot in the Greenville Triumph Supporters Club. Yep, that's it, the Big Green Belt. I had to go drop off the Big Green Belt because they are taking it to Omaha to hold it up in the faces of the Omaha fans that we defeated them last. So I wanted to drop that off.
So it was a champ-to-champ handoff.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to drop it off, and as we're leaving, this was actually really cool. You want to know one more reason that I love Greenville? We're leaving. I went up to a pizza joint downtown, and it's me and half the supporter section. So there's probably 15, 20 people there, right? I just went to drop off the belt, but the supporters group have like a rec league soccer team, and they all met up at the pizza joint, and I had to drop it off because they're all getting ready to leave, I think Thursday, to go up to Omaha. And as we're sitting there and talking about the game and the match this weekend and the roadie they're going on and all that, John Hartz, the head coach of the Greenville Triumph, just walks in. That's U.S. men's national team champ turned head coach of the Greenville Triumph. And he just He's friends with us, right? He knows everybody in the supporter section that's there. He walks up, Rob, Andrew, Lauren, good to see you guys. Like, he knows us, which is pretty cool.
That's kind of unheard of, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. He knows every one of us by name. And so we talked to him for a few minutes. And as he goes to leave, and I walk out the front door, I get a guy that stops me. And he says, hey, man, I'm really sorry to bother you. I heard Coach Hart say your name. You're Rob Brown. I said, yeah. We sat outside this pizza joint for 7-8 minutes just chatting. He said, I appreciate you being you. I appreciate the real that you bring to the radio station. And it was a cool moment for me, right? And that's what I love about this business. But that's not to say my way is better. It's just better for me. But here's the thing. Whatever you, as a sports talk radio fan or talk show viewer or whatever gets attention is what works, right? So if you're following a bunch of accounts that are doing nothing but trying to spoil the milk on your side of the conversation, don't be surprised when that's what starts showing up in your sphere more often than not. That's just how the game works. The folks you give attention to are the folks that are going to grow. And I'm only saying that because I saw a Twitter account last night that I think it's been kind of interesting. Because I think Mark and I have had a lot of takes that fall on both sides of the aisle for both Clemson and South Carolina. And Mark Ryan doesn't need me to defend him, but I'm going to point something out. Mark put up a tweet after going to the Clemson UConn game, 1-8 UConn, where Death Valley was like 92, 93% full. I put up a video on the same account from the set without disparaging remark, by the way. I put up a video from the South Carolina-Florida game, an SEC Eastern Division matchup between a pair of teams trying to get to bowl eligibility. And I said this place was absolutely electric. The fans that were in Willie B had the rally towels up. The place was popping off. But it was like 80% full. And I was a little taken aback by that. And Mark said, somebody's going to have to explain to me why it is that Clemson can fill the stadium 92% to play UConn, but South Carolina can't get barely but 80% to take on an SEC Eastern Division foe, who's down and beatable, by the way. And there was an account out there. That put up this big thing and came after all of us. The whole station came after the station. Oh, they're a bunch of trolls. All they do is dump on South Carolina. All they do is take runs at us. And Diesel made the point. He said, is that what it is? Or is it that you only ever retweet the negatives and you never retweet the positive? Are we really a bunch of trolls who only troll South Carolina? And by the way, while we know that in the Greenville-Spartanburg metro area, what did we decide? It's probably about 40% Gamecock fans, right? It's something like 75% of folks listed Clemson in an unscientific poll. But a poll that Mark Ryan ran shortly after I got here, like 75% said they were Clemson fans first, and like 35 said South Carolina.
I hate talking about the other show, but I was present during that.
Sure.
And here's the problem with that poll. The poll it's just both sides will make that poll the direction. And during that time, we're going to see Clemson fans.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I think it's a lot more even than what you or Mark believe. And again, you're going off of Mark's poll, and Mark's poll, not very accurate.
No, it's not a scientific poll, and I know that.
We know when we put polls up, we know.
And that's just why you do, you know, social media, and you don't take those analytics to heart, right? But I would argue, after having been here coming up on 2 years now, holy crap, almost 2 years now, I have come to realize after being here, yeah, I would say that there are, for now, more Clemson fans than South Carolina fans. Maybe that changes if Clemson has another down year. But right now, I'd say there's more Clemson fans than Carolina fans. But
and I've been here a lot longer, and I've seen the thing shift, and back to where it was even, to where I've seen it where, believe it or not, there were more Gamecock fans. I could hold up my hand and you could see 5 fingers, and you would know what time I'm talking about. It's going to fluctuate back and forth. That's the great part about South Carolina, the state, is that we have 2 big-time teams in the state with a pretty good rivalry, and it's going to go back and forth. As far as another entity coming at us, good. That means what was put out there worked.
So here's what I'm going to say. If you actually listen, in my opinion, it's my opinion, but that's what we get paid to do here, is put opinions out. In my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, I don't think that any of our local program is openly hostile to any fan base in the area.
All right. Let's say parts of the program are not openly hostile. Because as pointed out on the stream, I'm not going to act like I like Clemson because I don't. And so I'm not going to, and I am a part of the station. And so, but you know what? I do it in good fun. And I've never really come at the team itself, because until this year, the team has been pretty good. They went on a great run. They've done an awesome job. They've won national championships. Good for them. I'm just playing around with the fans. Some people take it a little too serious and believe if you say something towards a team, you're coming at them personally. And that's what's being a fan's about, being fanatical, believing that everything's directed at you when it's not. It's directed at the team.
Look, we'll have fun at the expense of a fan base here and there, right? Sure, because we're all friends here, right? We're all friends here. But I don't think anybody's openly hostile towards a program itself. How about that? Like, we'll make fun of you, we'll make fun of your fans, because that's just because we talk junk back and forth and it's fun. But we're not going to be.
I have South Carolina friends.
So my thought becomes, if you spend 7-8 minutes with us and you hear a take that's not what you want to hear about your school, take it as an opinion, but realize you're getting a snippet, right? You're getting a snippet of what happens here. The other thing, though, I would say is this. As a fan, you have got to recognize that not every criticism about your squad is a takedown. Sometimes it's just an observation and an opinion, right? It's just an observation and an opinion. Just because I say, hey, Shane Beamer has not accomplished anything, that leads me to believe that he is the guy that Virginia Tech should or would or will call, because he has nothing on the resume right now that leads me to believe that's a phone call they want to make. That is not anything more than an observation. That is not anything more than an opinion. It is me looking at the situation and going, if I'm Virginia Tech, despite the power vacuum right now, I need to have somebody that's established, that knows how to run the program, maybe doesn't have the same long-term potential as a Shane Beamer, but can get us in a hunt right now. That's not a crack at South Carolina. That's not a crack at Shane Beamer. Lonzo, how many runs have you heard me take at Shane Beamer after he got hired? I made a run before he got hired, but since he's been hired and since you've been on the show, how many runs have you heard me take at Shane Beamer that I couldn't justify?
I don't recall any. I don't.
Right. But now I got folks popping up on the timeline, popping up in the DMs that are going, Rob, it's time that you just admit that you hate South Carolina. I went to your stadium last week, and by the way,
said that he
had more fun at the South Carolina game than I did the Clemson game. And that's not a shot at Clemson either, though some will take it that way. Point that I'm making here is that, yes, fan is short for fanatic. Fanatic entails that you have passion about whatever it is that you are a fanatic of, right? But when we do this, not everything is a shot at your school. Sometimes it's just an observation from an unbiased observer. That's it. I am the watcher and nothing more. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. The great one's at the helm. We got a lot more we need to get into on the show when we come back. Is it time for Cam to start, or did PJ Walker earn his spot under center on Sunday? I'm going to tell you why Cam's the guy, and I'm going to do that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
QC.
Hey, my friends at QC Kinetics. Listen, what are you dealing with right now, right? Is it knee pain? Is it shoulder pain? Is it elbow pain? Is it wrist pain? Is it ankle pain? Is it lower back pain? Is it hip pain? Is it joint pain? Is it toes and fingers and foot and hands? You know what it is, and you know how it hurts, and you know why it hurts. And maybe you've gotten told at either A, you got to live with it, or B, you got to have surgery if you ever want to get back to feeling normal. I am here to tell you that before you say yes to that, you need to call our friends at QC Kinetics. And you need to go see our friends at QC Kinetics, because QC Kinetics can help with that without putting you under the knife, without making you take anesthesia. They can help you feel better, faster, naturally. They're non-surgical regenerative therapies Big E was asked if he would do a triple threat with the New Day. And he said, no. We've talked about this before, and I think we'd be laughing the whole time. Imagine me putting Kofi in a headlock. I would just be laughing the whole time. That makes me want to see that match more.
I don't get why people
Like
can't.
them being great friends. but
Just let
also
a
trying to
team
get
be
each
a
other.
team, man. Why does everybody got to turn on somebody?
No, Dude, you have heard my rants about people breaking up tag teams when there's no need for it. Making up drama to justify breaking up a tag team. Richie says, let Clemson suck out loud 8 of 9 years in a row and see if the stadium is full for Clemson v. NC State. I heard Mark yesterday and you guys discussing it. Hope is kind of lost in Colatown. The product is bad. Guarantee there's 10,000 folks tailgating that never go inside. It's a party because the football isn't worth the price of admission. Mississippi State isn't full. Vanderbilt isn't full. Arkansas isn't full. Missouri was dang near empty. Bad football leads to bad attendance. And that's a correct take, right? We've talked about the premise of investing in your program.
I would amend that just a little. An extended period of bad football.
Fair.
If you get some here and there, that's why Clemson is still full.
Yeah.
If it's like this next year at this time, it won't be.
Yeah, I mean, he even opens up with let Clemson suck 8 out of 9 years in a row and see if the stadium's still full.
But it won't take that long.
Right. So we've talked about the return on investment in football, right? Fan is short for fanatic. Fanatic implies that you have passion towards whatever you're a fan of. That we know that, right? How much sense does it make to put a sticker on your car to let people know who your favorite football team is? But we do it because when it's passion, it makes sense to you. It makes perfect sense to you. It's why there are some people that are as every bit to put the Gamecock or the Tiger Paw or whatever else they put on their car as other people's are to put a stick figure family on their car. They put their stick figure family because they're passionate about their family. I put my Florida Lee because I love the Saints. Probably more than you love your kids. So that's a joke. Calm down.
Is it though?
No. So with that being said, yeah, the reality is if your football team's bad, you're less likely to invest in it. We've talked about this a lot, right? There's investing in your team. There's investing in your team. And then there's getting to a point where you go, the return on investment that I'm getting is not worth it. I have been a fan of some pretty damn miserable football teams over my life. And as bad of a fan as some people will say it makes me, there comes a point where I go, yeah, I'm not buying an $80 football ticket to go watch my team lose more often than they don't, right? I'll still watch them on TV, but I'm not buying new gear. There have been years in the past where I haven't bought a new bit of gear for my, professional team, college teams, local team, because they're just not good. And if you're not investing the money I'm giving in to get better, then what the hell's the point for me? But
can I just a couple things have dropped, and because of logistics, I don't have the breaking news because it's not really breaking news. It's not really breaking news. A couple of people have posted. Beamer was asked about the Virginia Tech job, and he says, "This is where I want to be." When I said this was my dream job, I wasn't just saying that to make it sound cool in a press conference or just to get the job. This is where my wife and I and my family want to be.
Our friend Corey Diaz from the Greenville News, as a matter of fact, just I was funny you read that. I assumed you were reading it from Corey's tweet because he just posted the exact same quote.
I was reading it from Diddy's,
Yeah,
but still, I mean,
there you go.
Several people are posting this right now.
Yeah,
and
Beamer asked about the Virginia Tech opening. He said, quote, "I want to be the head coach in South Carolina. My wife, Emily, and I want to be here in Columbia. This is my dream job. I didn't say that to sound cool in a presser or to get the job," end quote.
But the same people who are saying that this is a thing will say, yeah, I've said something similar and have been gone the next day. And unfortunately, you can say that because it's true. There have been coaches that have been up there and said that sort of thing, and a day or two later, they're gone. I don't believe that with Shane Beamer. He seems very sincere from everything we've seen about him. He seems to be an emotional guy, and I believe that's what he believes, and he's not going anywhere. Plus, he's not going to get the phone call, so it ain't going to matter.
So there's a number on the sheet right there. And Lonzo, I love my job. I really do. I love where I live. I brag about GSP all the time.
I saw the number. You don't have to keep it up there.
No. I'm gonna give an illustration. Somebody called me and they said, we want you to move to where we are now and do a radio show here, and we're going to offer you this much. I would say no. It's not worth it. Here, let me.
Is it that much period or that much more than what you make already?
Here, let's start with that. So that's the number they offer.
Okay.
All right. And they say, we want you to move here and do the job for this much. And let's say, for the sake of argument, this is more than I make here, theoretically. I would say, no, it's not worth it. I love GSP. I love the people I work with. I love the guys I work for. I love the guys I work with. I love the area. I love the sports. I love the weather. I love the atmosphere. And I probably am not going to like where you are like I like it here. And then, Lonzo, watch this. Then somebody goes, how about now? Now I'm taking that job, right? One pen stroke.
Yeah,
now I'm taking that job.
there's a little bit difference between when you what Rob did was added a zero.
Yep.
You add that zero on the right side.
Now I'm taking the
and
job.
There's no decimal in there.
Yep.
You add that zero. That's different.
Yep. Now I'm taking the job. And so I actually believe Shane Beamer. I actually believe him. I believe that this is the job he wanted, and I believe that when he showed up, because that dude, and maybe I'm wrong, but that dude looks genuine. That dude looks like he wants to be there. He has gone all out. He has been showing up at other team sports. He has been a huge part of the campus. He has got his stuff hanging around the stadium. The dude seems to be checked all in. I don't think Virginia Tech can do what I just did and throw an extra zero and make it worth his while. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think that it's easy to come in here and jump on the mic and go, oh, he'll leave because Virginia Tech's a better job and it's an easier job and the recruiting's going to be easier because he's not going head-to-head with Georgia and all them. And but I don't see any of that. None of that makes sense to me. I think Shane Beamer would take the job if Virginia Tech offered him like a ton more money, but I don't think they can, and I don't think they will. I think the only thing that they can offer him is you can work in the same office that your dad worked in. That's it. I'll tell you right now, Lonzo, I would love, I do carry my dad's name. I would love to be able to do something that my old man did and carry on his legacy in that thing to continue the Brown family legacy. But you know what my dad did for a living, Lonzo? He was a mortgage lender. I have zero interest. And that's not a shot at my dad. That I just was in that business. I worked for him for a while, and I found it excruciating. My dad owned a mortgage lending business in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, that he was efforting to groom me to take over one day. And I remember the conversation when I said, I don't want to do this. And fortunately, I had a dad who went, okay, I understand that. I'm not going to force you to. And, went back to work. That's the only thing that Shane Beamer has, that if he looks at Virginia Tech and goes, yeah, it was really cool as my dad, but I don't want to do that. And he's being honest about this South Carolina gig. Why would he go? What's the point? Is it better there? No.
No, it's not.
Does he have more resources there? No. Does he have a better fan base? No. I don't think so.
It might be cooler there temperature wise.
Sure.
That's probably about it.
Sure. Let's even for the sake of saying that Blacksburg is more packed out in a losing season. You know why? Because that's all they're used to. Michael Vick played for a championship in 1999. That's the last time Vatek sniffed one. So their fans are used to it. South Carolina's expect better. Why would he want to go? Why would he want to go? All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP, ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line to 71307. Start your text with ESPN. When we come back, Joe Giglio of BetQL joins us on the show to give you some thoughts, some lines, some futures, some props. That's up next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. On the Odyssey Podcast Network, or go to BetQL.com to learn more. It's our friend Joe Giglio from BetQL. Joe, welcome back, big guy. How are you, man?
Good.
Good day. I wanted to ask you one thing to start off, Joe, and that's so we looked at the whole situation that's played out with Odell Beckham Jr., the drama that went down in Cleveland. The weekend after they lose OBJ, they go out and put 41 up on the board. They come out the next weekend and they get absolutely boat raced and put 1 touchdown up on the board. The Rams, on the other hand, a team that had been scoring up in the 30s and 40s consistently, add OBJ, and in their last 2 games, granted he wasn't with them for the first of the last 2, but he was in the second, have scored fewer points in any 2-game stretch than any other 2-game stretch under Sean McVay. How do you read what a player can, can't, will, won't do when he is added, subtracted to a lineup? I guess I'm asking, how do you look at this OBJ situation, and are there any trends you try to pick up on?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think, OBJ is addition by subtraction for the Browns. I don't think, and I think Rob Snum's in the NFL, and it's kind of crazy this happens because these guys watch more film than anybody, and they're supposed to be on, they're supposed to know way more than us. But I think at times when there's been a player that's been great before, and Odell Beckham was great when he was young. He came in the league his first 3 years. He was unbelievable. He scored like 35 touchdowns. He was a great player. He was on the path to being a special player. But then he broke his ankle, and then he tore his knee, and he's not that player anymore. And I think sometimes coaches get enamored with, I can get that player back. And sometimes physically, you can't. So I thought last night, early in that game, there was a kind of a silly thought process on Sean McVay and the Rams. We have to get Odell the football, and it caused a turnover early. It just was a waste of time. He's fine. He could play in the NFL for a while, be a number 2 or 3 wide receiver. I don't think he's a bad player, but I just think these teams get in trouble when they have to force it to one guy. It's not running the offense. I thought the Browns did when he was in the lineup. They were always more comfortable. Baker was more comfortable when he was in the lineup. And the same thing last night. It's like they were trying to force it to him at the detriment of what makes the Rams so good, and that is the offense works in itself. The system, McVay's system, the play action, running off of motion. Like that's what's made the Rams so good. So I think until the Rams figure that out, I think their offense could have trouble. If they eventually just figure it out and then let him just be and run the offense with him in it, then I think they'll get back to normal.
We're talking to Joe Giglio, BetQL insider, host of BetQL Daily. Around the NFL, this has been a weird year, Joe. We started off the beginning of the year. We had, we were relatively consistent with, the favorites hitting the lines, but we've seen a ton of underdogs hitting the money line in recent weeks. What's this year compared like to normal for you as a bettor, but also for the folks in Vegas trying to set lines this year?
Yeah, I think it's been a year for underdogs. I mean, that's been the one thing that if you just blindly take the underdogs against the spread all year, you've been winning. I mean, that's the way to do it right now because it's tough to trust these favorites, and some of the lines have been so big because the top 3 or 4 or 5 teams look like the best teams by a lot. But then the last couple of weeks, as we see in the NFL, it's started to happen where teams have just laid eggs, whether it be the Dallas Cowboys a couple weeks ago against the Denver Broncos. I mean, this has happened now. The Buffalo Bills against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you start to get really comfortable finally with some of these best teams, and even they lay eggs. So underdogs are ruling, and it continues here, Rob, where home field advantage doesn't matter anymore. I mean, it's over now. Especially the old adage: if you get 3 points at home, you kind of work that in. It just doesn't matter. I mean, road teams are cleaning up, and heading into last week, road teams had a winning record on the season, straight up. They're just winning. So I think when we look at these games, we usually say blah, 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 and the game is in, or blah, 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 and they're on the road. Unless there's a significant trend, like a team on a third straight road game, for example, that was the Bengals when they lost to the Jets. Unless there's something with travel or that could tire a team out or a really long flight, London or whatever, for the most part, if a team's playing at a different venue and it's really not that much of a deal in terms of a trend with the road, it doesn't matter anymore.
Joe Giglio of BetQL joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Over in college football, we've kind of gotten to a turning point in the season, Joe. We have a pretty good idea who the top 6 or 7 contenders for the playoffs would be. Other programs starting to make changes. LSU has done so and letting go of Ed Orgeron. Virginia Tech has let Justin Fuente go last night, waiting to see where the coaching carousel stands. I think we've got 12 or 13 Division I programs that are in search of a new head coach. As we get closer to the end of the year, you have different teams that have different motivations. Some are looking for a playoff. Some are fighting, knowing they're on the outside in. Some are just looking to make it a conference champion. Some are just trying to get bowl eligible. Is there anything in college football that the intentions of a program might help shape the way that you approach their contest?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And I think just looking at Michigan State, I mean, I'm just fascinated by this Heisman Trophy race here, Rob, because I don't think there is a Heisman Trophy this year. I don't think there's one guy that stands out, one player that stands out. You say, oh, he's the Heisman this year. It seems like someone's going to almost get it by default. I saw in the Athletic straw poll of voters, Kenneth Walker's still ahead, and obviously he's still in some meaningful games here. Michigan State ranked number 7 right now. We'll see where they come in with the the playoff ranking, but they're 9-1, and I have to imagine with what that guy has meant to their program and how they're trying to win because they're still trying to get themselves in the mix to get in the playoff, although it's pretty much a long shot now with their loss to Purdue. I would think they're going to ride Kenneth Walker to try to win these games, but also ride Kenneth Walker for his chance at a Heisman. Mel Tucker, their coach, rumored to be maybe on the way out. And I think it's one of those things where you combination of want to win, try to avoid the distraction, and feed the best player because he's carried them this year, and maybe give this kid a Heisman on maybe Mel Tucker's way out of the Michigan State. I think that's something to look for because I imagine Kenneth Walker's going to get enough carries where he's going to push forward and win this thing.
We are talking with Joe Giglio, BetQL Insider, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Joe, at the again at the college level, we've got an interesting one, and I try not to too often ask you about specific games, but I'm looking at this South Carolina-Auburn game. South Carolina at home went out and absolutely whooped up on the Florida Gators. Then they go on the road to Mizzou. Not a great home field advantage in the other Columbia. A Mizzou team that I told the folks down here, look, they're in a very similar situation. This game is one of those games that would push them towards feeling like the season was a success in the midst of a coaching change, etc. And South Carolina just looked back to the team that was lost and making mistakes a few weeks ago. But they come back to Willie B. It's an Auburn team that has been a little bit bipolar. That place is going to be loud. Got any thoughts on that particular game?
Yeah, it's a lot of points. I mean, that's what I'll say. The last time I saw the number was around 7.5. If you can get the 7.5 with South Carolina, I would take that. I just don't trust Auburn as much, on the road. Auburn's offense is good. I mean, they're top 50, but 31, 32 points a game around there. But I just think when you take two teams in the SEC here that have known each other and they play each other and you talk about the home field advantage here. I just wish South Carolina could run the football a little bit better. I mean, that's the one thing because you want to kind of keep the football out of Auburn's hands and make this more of a low scoring game. I think if this game could stay in the 20s, we have a chance at an upset here with South Carolina. If it gets into the mid or upper 30s, I just don't think they could get to that spot. But I would take the 7. If you get 7.5 points, I would take it here with South Carolina.
All right, Joe Giglio, BetQL Insider here on the Rob Brown Show. Give me some of your plays, some of your favorite picks for upcoming weekend, Joe.
Yeah, I like a lot in the NFL this week. There are certain weeks where you got to have to wait till things kind of crystallize here before you see it. And there are early weeks where it's like, man, there's 3 or 4 that stand out. I've got an upset for you on Sunday, Rob. I think the Vikings are going to beat the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. The Vikings are probably maybe them, maybe the Eagles, maybe a couple more teams that you look at. The record's not any good. They're just mediocre or bad. But the underlying numbers say those teams are pretty good. And I think the Vikings and Eagles are the 2 teams in the NFC that are rising here. And we could see them in the mix. Maybe only one can make the playoffs. We'll see how many spots are open. But I like both of those teams. But specifically this week, Minnesota getting 2.5 points at home. Green Bay keeps winning. They keep covering. But it's not the way we're used to. Green Bay's offense hasn't put 30 points on the board since week 3. I mean, they have had for them, a cold spurt of offense. Minnesota can run the football with Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins. It's a 1 o'clock game, not prime time. So we know Kirk Cousins plays better at 1 o'clock on Sunday. I like the Vikings in this one, getting points at home. And I think this Minnesota team and this Packer team, they're closer than, let's say, their records say they are. I like the Vikings this week, getting 2.5 points at home.
Interesting you mentioned the Vikings and the Eagles because those were 2 of the 4 consecutive losses that the Carolina Panthers took in that stretch that kind of knocked the wind out of the sails a little bit for Carolina, but they get Cam Newton back. He throws for 1. He runs 1 last week. Matt Rule has said that he's getting the majority of the practice snaps this week, and it sounds to me like he is going to get the start this weekend, coming off a big win against an Arizona team that admittedly was missing Kyler Murray, was missing DeAndre Hopkins, was missing Chase Edmonds. So it was not a full strength or anywhere close to it Arizona Cardinals team. They turn around this weekend and have an opportunity to try to kind of keep that momentum going with Cam Newton at the helm against the Washington football team. Joe, am I wrong for kind of liking Carolina this weekend?
You're not, and Carolina is certainly live for the playoffs too. I mean, Rob, we actually did it today on BetQL Daily. We were looking at that those last two spots in the NFC for the postseason because the first five we know who is going to be there. It's a matter of we'll see who wins the West between the Rams and the Cardinals. But you can just close your eyes now. You know the top five teams in the NFC. We'll just find out the order they get seeded in January. But the 6 and 7 seed, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. There's probably 8 teams in that mix. I mean, really everyone but the Lions can wake up today with a straight face and say, sure, we're in it. We're all separated by 2 games. So there's a lot of teams in that mix. Carolina is certainly there with the big win last week, and now they get Cam Newton back. The one thing I'll say about this game, I would not be surprised if Carolina wins. I think you're probably on the correct side of how it occurs, but the number's at 3.5 right now, and this feels like a field goal game. You look at a lot of the numbers; these teams aren't that different. Spotty on offense. Carolina's defense certainly better, but last week, and I think the last couple of weeks, the Washington defense has gotten a little bit better. Even though they've had injuries, they play better. Picked off Brady twice, so this feels like a field goal game. I won't be surprised if it's Carolina. But the plus 3.5 there in Washington is pretty tempting in a game that could be low scoring and close. Maybe we're looking at something like 20-17, 21-18, 23-20 kind of game. But if Carolina gets this one, they certainly have a real chance at the playoffs.
Love to hear it. That's Joe Giglio, BetQL Insider, host of BetQL Daily. Again, you can pick it up on the Odyssey Podcast Network or check them out at BetQL.com. He joins us every Tuesday to talk numbers. Joe, my man, appreciate it as always, big dog. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Take care.
Will do. Will do. That's Joe Giglio of the BetQL Network. Make sure you follow them to become a better and beat the books. Back after this to wrap up hour 2 on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. Picked it up. Lonzo's officially 1 for 2 on the day. He's back on the right trajectory.
He's put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. I'm not ready to play today because it's a different sport.
And free oil changes. Dial 800-279-2827 and never pay for car repairs again. Dial 800-279-2827.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
I love how when something does something and you tell engineering and they come in and it just stops doing it. How many times has engineering fixed things just by showing up in the room? What is this magic? Where can I get it?
Just like in football, there's nothing like that one perfectly timed addition to get your team off and running. That's where LinkedIn steps in. LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 770 million professionals to find the right people for your role. Then their filtering and prioritization tools help you narrow down to just the most qualified candidates for you. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn #1 in increasing the quality of hire versus leading competitors. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/sports. That's linkedin.com/sports.
More than the scores, the ups and downs, the ins and outs.
Let me grab clip number 1 real quick, if you don't mind, Lonzo. The NFL has a problem. We've known the officiating issue for the NFL has been real for a while now, but now you've got head coaches speaking about it. Here's what Pete Carroll said after the Seattle game against Green Bay, which had some big-time officiating flaws.
Russ throws the interception in the end zone. I don't know. I see the ball on the ground.
Yeah, I did too.
Guys got to finish the catch, and I don't know why. And I don't know why that was looked at in that manner. And they called it, they saw it, and all that. But that's points on the board. Russ took a chance right there, and it didn't work out for us. We're right down there to kick a field goal, and so that's one. And in particular, there was just a number of things that happened in this game that I thought were really odd, and we really put ourselves behind the 8 ball and couldn't get the game won. It was just an amazing game because there's so many intricate. I mean, just look at the very first chance when Russ scrambles for a first down, and there's a fellow hurt on the play, and so time passes and we got a first down and we were in the huddle. We break the huddle. We're at the line of scrimmage. We're ready to go, and they stop the game and reverse that play. Well, the way we understand it, that the booth has like 20 seconds to make those decisions to overturn a call that might have been wrong on the field. But they had minutes and minutes and minutes. I don't know. Did they open up the span of time to look at it? I don't know. I don't know how that happened. But so I got some gripes about this.
Pete Carroll says that he openly complaining about the officiating. This comes less than a week after Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints, removed himself from the competition committee, citing the fact that he thinks a lot of the rules are being misused in ways that are impacting the game in a negative way. And again, this is why I hesitate to tell people who my favorite team is on the air, because I make a criticism. People are just a homer, but that roughing the passer foul that wiped a New Orleans INT against the Titans off the board, and the Titans would ultimately score on that drive, was a game changer on one of the softest calls we've seen, even of that particular call, in years. When we've got coaches that are going, I don't care about the fines, I am going to openly criticize what's happening in the league, the league's got to recognize there's a problem and fix it. When we come back, does Cam get the nod on Sunday? The answer is yes. And I'll give you some reasons on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
AutomotiveApp.com presents your ESPN Upstate Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. Furman basketball on Monday night, they come up short, losing to Belmont in overtime by a 95-89 score. They suffered their first loss of the season. Mike Bothwell had a game-high 23 points on 8 of 16 shooting. Furman returns home to Timmons Arena as they are going to host Radford and Navy coming up this weekend. Of course, we are your home for Furman basketball. Wofford, they pick up a win over Erskine, 98-41. And Clemson basketball,
I love when I start my live off, do you smell that? And Rob automatically thinks that I'm talking about him.
In fairness, you were looking right at it.
I was looking ahead. You just happened to be like in my frame. I just kind of have to look this way to talk in the microphone, unless I move it, and I don't do that. So.
Director of the museum. Because he was illiterate, he didn't really ever sign his name. His wife signed the majority of his autographs. You've got maybe a question mark about this.
Oh, there's no question mark. That picture is not signed by Joe Jackson. There are about 10 instances or so of Joe actually signing his name. They were all on legal documents towards the end of his life. So we know beyond a shadow of a doubt what Joe's version of his own signature looked like. The signature that's on the photo that sold last night is nothing like those signatures.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. Catch the Rob Brown Show weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate.
Sunday on Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. It's a marquee Week 11 cross-conference showdown as the Dallas Cowboys hit the road to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, myself for all the action as Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes duel it out. Can the Cowboys make a statement on the road, or will the Chiefs continue to hit their stride? It's the Cowboys and the Chiefs. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
Sunday afternoon at 4. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Morning. Check this out. For an official Rob Brown lockdown. Yeah. Real unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah. Only on ESPN.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour. The Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonzo with you. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP. ESPN is the number if you'd like to be a part of the program. Text us on the Ingles Market text line. It's 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo One Word, and at ESPN Upstate. Plus, you can go to any of those destinations as well as our Facebook at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. And you can watch the program live. That's right. You can live stream as Lonzo and I put together the radio broadcast, so you can come behind the scenes, chat with us off the air, have some generalized fun. Is it time for Cam Newton to get the start for the Carolina Panthers? Well, Matt Rule, if you don't mind pulling that clip for me one more time, Lonzo, I apologize. Matt Rule spoke out in his press conference yesterday about just that. He said that some of the biggest fans of the Panthers asked him a question about it and that he was getting Cam ready. Here's what Matt Rule had to say yesterday.
You know, I took my daughter to the daddy-daughter dance, and I had two on Friday night, and I had two little girls, 5 and 7, come up and asked me if I was the coach of the Panthers, and I said, yes, I am. And then they said, is Cam really back? So I'm assuming if that's being brought up at the daddy-daughter dance, it's probably being brought up everywhere. And I think it's great. You know, I think it's great that people are excited. And, I'll say I've appreciated the support of the people who supported us, all year long. We'll give Cam most of the reps this week. PJ will get reps, obviously, as he always has. But I will give Cam most of the reps and try to get him as brought up to speed as possible. I thought he did a great job last week. Having 10 plays that he was kind of ready for, 10 to 15. We'll start getting him ready, and if he's ready to start, great. And if it's if he's not quite ready yet to do everything, then, obviously PJ's available. It's kind of that plan right now. So there's a lot to learn when you take the 2-minute package and the end of game package and the final plays. There's a lot to learn in a short amount of time. It's hard to do. So we'll do as best we can and see where we are later in the week, but he will get most of the reps.
Yeah, he's starting. No doubt about it to me. He's absolutely getting the nod coming up on Sunday against the Washington football team. And this is an interesting one, Zoe, because the Washington football team with Chase Young, who is now out with a torn ACL for the rest of the season, had one of the best front sevens in football. And they're still going to be pretty good. The Washington football team will get after some quarterbacks. Their secondary needs some work, but they can get after some quarterbacks. And I kind of thought up until yesterday when Ron Rivera confirmed that Chase Young is out for the season with a torn ACL, I kind of thought maybe there's a chance that the Panthers go back to PJ Walker. He had a decent game against Arizona last week. But the problem is I think that's the exception, not the rule, right? I think a lot of us forgot. You go back to that, what was it, the Giants game? PJ Walker actually got his time to play in that game. Sam Darnold did not look good. Matt Rule went to PJ Walker. After the game, they said, why'd you go to PJ? He said, I was looking for a spark, right? I was looking for a spark. Well, here's the thing. If Matt Rule's the type of dude that goes looking for a spark, we saw a spark out of Cam Newton last week. Again, he ran 15 total plays? Most of them in the red zone. Cam Newton provided a spark. After he took that helmet off, post his rushing touchdown, and started screaming into the camera, I'm back, I'm back. The boys on the sideline in the silver and blue got HYPE hype about it. He's a spark. If Matt Rule was looking for the spark, Cam Newton gave it to you. Now, will he do it again this week, especially if he's going to be running 50 plays instead of 15? I'd like to think so. But I think that's what Matt Rule's trying to figure out. But the fact that he is giving Cam Newton the majority of the snaps in practice lends me to believe that Matt Rule goes, okay, we got our spark. And PJ Walker has been the backup for a couple of years now and has not been able to get to a point where he was able to beat out Sam. Think about that. In that 4-game losing streak, PJ Walker never got to the point that despite a 3-pick game, he was going to beat out Sam Darnold for the starting role.
That's a money thing, though. That's a money thing. If you immediately yank Darnold, you're saying, wow, we screwed up. We're going to put somebody else in there. You got to give him the chance to justify the money that you gave to him. And as far as Cam goes, think about it. Cam's been off for a while. And what has he done while he's been off? He's gotten healthy.
Dude's in shape.
He's gotten healthy. Is something that he hasn't been able to say for a long, long time. He looks good and he looks healthy. He hasn't taken all those hits that he's unfortunately took for several years in a row, where the refs just let him roughhouse him because of his size. He's in good shape. We're going to see what it's going to be like going up against your old head coach who's defensive-minded and knows all your tendencies, and how much will he be able to corral Cam and how much will Cam get hit. And I think that comes down to it too. If Cam gets hit too much, you yank him pretty quick, don't you? And put PJ Walker in there, which sucks if you're PJ Walker. That means, hey, it's okay for me to get hit, but it's not, and I feel a little bit sorry for him. I'm sure he gets it, but you finally get your chance, and then they go out and they bring back Cam Newton.
So to go back to the first part of your point, I think you're right to some degree, right? It's a money / we don't want to admit we made a mistake with Sam Darnold thing. And I'm still not saying they did. I'm still not saying they did make a mistake. I suspect when Sam comes back, if they decide to pull him off the IR, PJ Walker gets demoted to practice squad. Cam's the 1, Darnold's the 2. And I suspect that they're going to be looking for a trade partner for Sam Darnold next year. If they decide to roll with Cam another year. Give him a 1-year deal for $10 million to finish up the year. But they've already admitted at one point they made the mistake, even if it was only for a game, when they sat Darnold for PJ Walker against the Giants. They already kind of said, hey, look, we don't think Darnold can dig us out of this hole. We don't think he can give us the spark that we need to climb up out of this deficit. So we're going to the young guy. We're going to the electric guy. We're going to see if he works. They've already, in a minor way, admitted that mistake. They've already, in a minor way, showed that they believe that P.J. Walker, at least in that certain situation, that specific situation, they believed had a better shot at bringing them back than Sam Darnold. If that is the case, and you're willing to go look for that spark, if that is the case, and you're willing to go look for that dude who's going to bring a little electricity to the offense, you got to start Cam Newton, right? You got to start Cam. Even if you are, as some of our callers are, pessimistic that Cam's still got it. Pessimistic that Cam can get it done. P.J. Walker can't be your guy, right? P.J. Walker can't be your guy in this situation. You got to go Cam here. So I don't think there's any way you start anybody but Cam, even if the playbook is reduced by 30%. Even if you got to take 1 out of every 3 plays out because Cam just does not have time to learn them. Even if it restricts your play calling, you still got to go with him.
Or is it a smart move to do what they did last week, but just up Cam's playing time and just slowly work him into it?
So instead of running 15, he runs 30.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And that also keeps the other defense guessing.
Sure. But I also believe if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one.
By the way, I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't either.
But if they did that,
That'd be interesting
I
to
would
see if they
understand
did.
it.
Yeah. It's an intriguing idea. And if I'm Matt Rule, I might look at that, right? PJ's out there 75%, 70% of the snaps. Cam's out there 1 out of every 4 in certain situations. 3rd down at anything inside 2, Cam's my guy. Red zone, Cam's my guy. Right? I might set that up. If it's 3rd and anything shorter than 2, Cam's going in. In the red zone, Cam's going in. Everything else is P.J. Walker. That might not be a bad approach. Give Cam another full week to keep ingesting the playbook. Keep getting comfortable with the guys. It's not a bad take. I don't hate that plan. I don't hate that idea. Andrew is on the line to talk a little Cam Newton. Andrew, welcome in. Good to have you, buddy. Thanks for taking a minute.
Hey, Rob. First time, long time. Been listening to you before you even got the job.
Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I love Duke's Mayo too, right? But, hey, listen, this Cam coming back, what a mind blow that is. We get rid of him. And the funny thing is, folks in Charlotte love and hate him, but him coming back has been such a spark. And just to watch the entire team, it just seemed like there was a difference with him on the field, even on the defensive side. What a difference. So it's made me excited to watch the Panthers again. And I think it's fantastic he's back. And a thing you said that's great, too, is, like you said, he hasn't been playing for a while and he's healthy. So I think we're going to see what his potential is for the first time in a long time, and maybe not so much of the moaning that people are used to and complain about. But it is fantastic to see him back. And I heard it, and I was like, man, I got to give my 2 cents worth on this. But we'll see the sample size. It's got to grow a little bit for it to stick. But right now it's looking great.
Yeah, good call, Andrew. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776 is the number. I agree. I need a bigger sample size, right? I'm not, Lonzo, quite engraving Cam's name on the NFC Comeback Player of the Year award just yet, right? Not quite putting him on that trophy just yet. I need a bigger sample size. I need a more consistent run. I need him to be the quarterback instead of the spark that comes in certain situations.
I don't know about that. Up to this point, we usually know who's going to get that. Any idea who's got? I mean,
it was going to be Jameis Winston until his knee blew out.
Yeah, well.
It was going to be Jabu till his knee blew out. And I don't know who else it would be. Look, when I say I'm not quite ready to engrave Cam's name on the Comeback Player of the Year trophy just yet, I'm not saying I don't put him in contention. I am saying he's got to produce more than 3 for 4 for 8 yards and 1 touchdown on the air and 9 yards rushing with 1 touchdown. That ain't it. But I think that's why it's so intriguing to ask if he is the starter this weekend. And if so, what does he bring to the table?
I want to see if Cam's getting rushed by Washington's front 7 and he thinks the guy's open and he knows he shouldn't throw the ball if he throws the ball. because that makes the difference.
Sure.
In the past, he throws that ball and it's intercepted. If he's learned anything as far as that goes and doesn't throw that ball, they got a good shot of winning most, if not all, of the rest of the regular season games.
Again, Matt Rule said, look, Cam's getting the majority of the snaps this week, which means that they're trying to get that playbook beaten into Cam's brain, right? We need you to know this. We want you to have every opportunity.
Play number 1 to Christian McCaffrey. Play number 2, throw to Christian McCaffrey. Play number 3, roll or Robbie Anderson, whichever one's open.
Don't disagree.
Although CMC looked like he got hurt a little bit again last week. He's over there massaging the hamstring by rolling a pop bottle on it, what you would call a soda bottle.
I don't know. Again, I'm still not at a spot where I'm ready for CMC to be running the ball 28 times.
But what I'm saying is this isn't a team where Cam has to come in and has to do everything. They got a good running game. They have receivers that have been underutilized that he can hit. Tight ends. Do they have tight ends on the Panthers?
Yeah, Zylstra's had some good games.
Some. Back in the day when Cam was there, the tight end was also featured. I'm just saying there's some underutilized people that maybe Cam finds open. But and I think for the most part over his career, he wasn't an interception machine. He's going to have those 1 or 2 balls that there's no way he should throw. And we've seen some of the better quarterbacks this year doing that very same thing, like Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see.
You keep in mind with the tight end, though, it's kind of easy to feature the tight end when your tight end's Greg Olsen.
Well, there was that, yes.
It's when you've got a Kelsey, it's a little easier to feature the tight end. And there's not a lot of those out there right now, right? There's just not. And the ones who are real good at it get moved to wide receiver, get moved to a slot wide. So kind of tough. But yes, they are absolutely a running team and still will be with Cam at the helm. They run 50 plays. I need 35 of them to be runs, 100%. Especially as Chuba Hubbard continues to gain momentum, right? Like, not only can you be a rushing team, but you can take some of the pressure. You can take some of the pressure off of Christian McCaffrey, which is, I believe, what's caused most of the injuries, though I am not a doctor, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. Let's take a break. When we come back, Lonzo and I play Faces and Heels, the game where we take socially ambiguous situations and decide who's the face and who's the heel. That's next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
This thing's still a little iffy. Sometimes I push it and nothing happens as far as channel 2. That's why sometimes there's hesitation about the music.
Yeah.
I push it and I don't click anything because I'm watching it. And then suddenly it will trigger and I'm afraid to hit it again. It shouldn't be, but it's actually kind of fun.
And also Shaylin Lears, but it looks like Pena last year for the Brewers hit 189 with 13 home runs and 33 RBIs. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins men's basketball. Every play, every game on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. On your computer, smart speaker, and phone on the Odyssey app.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TrackPhone Wireless, you can keep the phone.
All right, Steven wants to know if you're going to talk Shang-Chi. You said you would. You don't have to do it on the air. You can do it right now because Steven's the one asking about it.
I really liked it, Steven. I really liked it. I love a good kung fu movie, and that was a dope kung fu movie.
All right, let me. Movie, because not only does the Ancient Protector, that's
I thought it was good. I thought it was honestly one of the better put together Marvel stories in recent memory, right? Like I got it, right? And it's I've always said the best bad guys are the bad guys that you're sympathetic towards, right? Even if you say they go too far, you understand why.
Yeah, I was having this kind of him. He put all that for his wife,
right?
And actually turned over a new leaf.
Yeah.
And then he lost her, and that
because of it.
And now he hears her voice.
Yeah.
He hears her voice. He sees her.
Yeah. All of us have been it. Well,
and he's been alive.
Us who have been in a relationship have done things that all the people in our life are going, don't do that. It's not a good idea. So anybody who says, I don't understand why, despite his son and daughter and this group of ancient people telling him, you're going to get us killed if you knock down that gate, I understand why he would have disregarded all of them. Which makes him sympathetic.
Yeah, I think.
That was one it was one of the best written Marvel stories they've put together in a while.
I also like them being in the bar stories.
Oh, it's great.
I thought that was kind of cool
and
too.
By the way,
and
Wong's the best part of the entire MCU. He's fantastic.
He has replaced Coulson.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
I honestly, I thought it was, I thought the reveal of his powers in the bus scene was one of the best reveal scenes in all of Marvel at this point. Cause like, I thought it was going to be a story about him training to become Shang-Chi throughout the movie. And instead he's like, oh no, I've been able to whoop ass for years. I've just been in hiding. And I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense. I thought it was great.
Man, you know, it's not because people don't want to give you a chance. It's because you suck. You know, you suck. I'm not up there.
Time for Faces and Heels, a segment where Lonzo and I take socially ambiguous situations submitted to the internet by those who do not know if they are the good guy or the bad guy. And Lonzo and I officially lay down the social ruling. Are they the face? Or are they the heel, the wrestling terms for good guy and bad guy? Here's one that I find really interesting, though. Young woman said she was at the grocery store, that she had a long day at work. She went to the store to pick up groceries because she hadn't eaten all day. So she was hangry, which is a real feeling. It's a real thing.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to be around me when that's going on.
You a hangry guy?
Oh,
Courtney's like that too. She gets hangry. It's like, dude, you better stop the world to find her food. I'm not.
If I make it past, I get to the giggles. That's a lot more fun.
So she says that she was trying to get as much as she could at possible to meal prep so that this doesn't happen often. Loaded all of her stuff onto the conveyor in the grocery line. And a young woman walks up and asks if she could cut in line because she only had a 2-liter of soda and a bottle of booze. And where she's from, you can't go through the self-checkout with booze. You have to have a cashier check your ID. So she asked, can I cut in front of you? Because all I have is the soda and the bottle of booze. And the young woman said, no, I've already got my stuff on the belt. I'm trying to get out of here. It's been a long day, and stomped off. She said the person ringing me up started to shame me, and not just a little bit, but was constantly telling me that it was rude. I didn't say anything, but I was so mad I was shaking. I stood in line and waited my turn. Who's the face and who's the heel, Lonzo? Is she the face or the heel for standing up for herself and not giving up her spot in line she had already waited for? Or is she the heel for not letting the young lady with just 2 things pop ahead of a full cart full of groceries?
She's the heel, and here's the reason why. If she was, at the fast food line, I would kind of get it, but you're still going to have to cook that food. Are you going out in the parking lot to eat? Are you so hungry that you're open and you're eating in line? If you are hungry, it's too, unless you're going to, unless the cashier is extremely slow, and we've all been in that line, she's a heel. You got it. This is tough, though. This is tough because I hate those people that do that because they're dishing, they're trying to take advantage of other people. It's hard.
I'm going to go with her as the face, and here's why. I see nothing wrong with the young lady that only had the bottle of booze and the soda asking to check out and jump ahead of somebody who has a full cart of groceries. But we have gotten to this point in society where asking politely means they must say yes. No, that's not true. You ask somebody politely does not mean they have to say yes. And if somebody says no, you can't react by like stomping off and throwing a tantrum. And
do we know? I mean, what part of the country?
Store,
no, what country? Because I think that matters too.
I'm sure it does. Like in the South, that would be more frowned upon than if this was in New York City.
Yeah, or New Jersey or someplace like that. Yeah.
But either way, asking someone politely does not mean that they must say yes. I actually saw one of these play out not too long ago, Zoe. I actually saw one of these play out not too long ago on an airplane. I was flying. I think it was when we, what was it? Oh, it was when I flew up here for my audition. That's when it was. Flying up for my audition. And we're flying from Pensacola to Greenville, to GSP. And when you fly like that short flight, that's like like an hour and a half, hour, 45-minute flight. When you fly on one of those shorter flights, they put you on the small plane, right? Like it's got 2 seats on the left, 2 seats on the right, and that's it. And so we're in the small plane, and like 2 or 3 rows ahead of me, there is a guy who is sitting. I guess he had bought 2 seats, and I'm kind of picking this story up through context clues, so it may be not accurate, but I think it is. The impression I got was that he had 2 seats on the flight, and then whoever was supposed to be flying with him was not on the plane. So he had 2 tickets for 2 seats. And on the aisle next to him was a family. It was a mom, a dad, and a kid, and the kid was probably like 5 or 6 years old. And the mom and dad asked if they could use the seat next to him for one of the family members so they could sit all 3 across and not have 2 people in one aisle and then the mom or the dad behind the kid so that both parents could be next to the kid. And they're like, do you mind if the seat's empty, if one of us sits in the seat next to you? And the man said no. The man said, no, I'm sorry. I have both. I have tickets to both of these seats. And he was going to use it, I guess, to like put his laptop down or whatever. But he said no. And the family called the stewardess over, called the flight attendant over, and was like, hey, we're really sorry. This seat's empty, and we'd like to all 3 sit one next to the other. And the flight attendant's like, I don't have any problem with that. And the man looks at her and is like, I'm sorry, I have the ticket to this seat and I'm going to use it. It's my ticket, my seat. I'm going to use it. And the airline attendant was like, well, if nobody's sitting there, can't the family sit? And he's like, no, I'm sorry. I have work to do. I'm going to use this seat. He was effectively using it as a work surface. And I could feel the tension in the other people on the airplane that were just like outraged that this guy wasn't going to give up his seat. And I was thinking to myself, he has every right to do that, right? Like he has every right. He bought the ticket to that seat. Now, if that seat was unoccupied and nobody had bought a ticket, then the airline would have the discretion to sit someone there and go, hey, you only paid for this seat, so you get that seat. But he had the ticket to that seat. It's his right to do with it as he please. And just because the family was polite doesn't mean he has to say yes to the request. He was still the face in that situation to me.
And I agree with you, especially because money was spent. And there's no rule where you have to be nice and acquiesce to make things more pleasant for somebody else. You paid the money. It's yours.
Sure.
You effectively rented that space for the length of the flight.
And see, I would say the same logic applies to the woman at the grocery store, right? Like she stood in line with her. She got her stuff. She got into that line. She was waiting.
Well, don't.
Relevant to the story, she stood in line, she waited her turn, she was in that line, she went up on that line, she got her turn called, her number called, and this other woman was like, hey, I would like to, at your inconvenience, even if it is only a 45-second inconvenience, I would like to expedite my life at your inconvenience. Now, it would be wonderful if the young lady said, oh, you only got 2 things, go ahead. If I'm in line and I have a grocery full of stuff and Lonzo comes up and he's got like 1 bottle of wine he needs to cash out with, and he goes, can I jump ahead of you? I'll go, yeah, it's fine. It's not going to bother me, whatever. It's 45 seconds. But
I don't appreciate your example, which is why you did that.
If somebody else did it and they said no, like I'm not going to get upset about it, right? I'm not going to get upset about it.
Well, there's more anger on the road and in grocery stores and places like that than anywhere else. But in the end, also, I'm not going up and asking someone, can I go ahead of you? Unless I'm like buying Band-Aids and someone's in the parking lot bleeding and I need to get them out there or something like that. I think I don't know. I'm going to stick with it, but I'm not entirely comfortable with my choice here.
Texas says, Rob, maybe the family should have selected the seats for the tickets and paid extra. Yeah, listen, I do want to point it out that I think it's absolutely garbage that airlines have gotten to the point where if you want to select your seats on the airplane, you have to pay a bunch of extra fees for it. Like, just put them up and let them go. But hey, cool. If the business model works and people are paying for it, then it is what it is. Yeah, I agree. And I've seen this play out before. If you want the family to sit together, then you buy the tickets together. Don't buy them scattered around the airplane and then get mad when other people on the plane don't accommodate you. You had a way to solve that problem and you didn't take it. That's on you, not everybody else on the airplane.
As far as grocery store goes, I try to use the method of looking as mean or as crazy as I possibly can. So they're afraid to ask me. Yes.
Texter Rob says, Rob, people in these parts say buggy when referring to a shopping cart. If you say cart, they look at you like you have 3 heads. That's from Pittsburgh, Tony.
Or they look at you like you're a Yankee.
Is it buggy around here? Is that what everybody uses, buggy?
I'm going to call it a shopping cart.
Yeah, it's a shopping cart back in Florida.
Well, it is in Ohio
or
also.
Basket. It's a shopping basket.
Well, as a former employee of a couple different grocery stores. Sure. Refer to as shopping cart. That's the proper term.
This texter has a good point. Rob, the real heel is the cashier for shaming the woman.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's situation or what they're going through. Let them live their life. Yeah, I agree with that entirely. Texter says, every time I let someone in front of me because they have one item, they need something else from behind the counter, which increases my wait time. That will infuriate me. I will agree with that. If you come up and you say, I have one item, and then you jump in and you're like, all right, let me get that can of chewing tobacco and that pack of gum and that. Okay, now you have 4 things. I wouldn't have said yes to 4 things. I said yes to 1. That has happened to me, and that will drive me up a wall.
And really what I would have said is wait your turn, Alki.
Okay, well, now you're just getting personal. All right, here's one. Submitor says that they have a puppy. This puppy is 6 months old. It's a German Shepherd. They said they are trying to train the puppy, right? Crate train him until they can get him old enough to ask to go outside when he needs to go to the bathroom. He says, however, that this puppy is not taking to the crate training well. That at night, while they have the puppy in the crate, the puppy whines and the puppy howls and the puppy just does not rest. So he said, the person who submitted the story is a 27-year-old man. He said that he is taken to letting the puppy sleep on the bed. He doesn't get on the furniture except the bed. He said that's the only way that the puppy will sleep at night. If I put him in the crate, he makes noise and whines the whole time. But if I let him get on the bed, he lays down and he goes to sleep. But outside of that, he's not allowed on the furniture. He said, my girlfriend has been staying the night with me. And the girlfriend has said that she will not accept any pets being on the bed, including the puppy, and that you have to put the puppy in the crate and just let the puppy get used to living in the crate, sleeping in the crate, sleeping not on the bed. She said my puppy is training me, not me training my puppy. I have told her that I've tried, and the puppy will not sleep. But as soon as he gets on the bed, he goes right out. Who's the face and who's the heel here, Zoe?
Well, we can't say the puppy because
the puppy's not either.
The puppy is not the heel. The puppy is definitely playing him. And if you say, well, the dog's not allowed on the furniture, last time I checked, bed is a piece of furniture.
Right. He said no furniture except the bed.
So this is about him not being able to sleep, about him not being able to push through it until the puppy gets used to it. So if we have to pick a heel here, it's him for being played.
Everything you just said is dead on correct. Everything you just said is dead on correct. But, Lonzo, my dog is my family. If my family wants to sleep on the bed, my family sleeps on the bed.
I mean, that's all well.
It's my house. It's my bed.
Right,
it's my
right.
puppy. It's my rules. Now, he gets to decide, is this relationship worth more than having a happy home with his dog? I will tell you this. The list of relationships that I have been in that I would value more than my companionship with my dog is like none. Okay? Is like none. And I've already told the lady friend, when I move in with you and I get a dog, that dog will sleep on the bed. And she can't say no because her cats sleep on the bed, right? So you can't be like, it's okay if cats do, but not if dogs do. No. That's speciesism, and I won't stand for it. Not in the year of woke. All right. The list of relationships I've been in where I'm more concerned about her happiness in a bedroom situation than my dog's is zero.
I'm just thinking cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
Yes.
All right. What the heck? Let's do one more. I'm having fun. Let's do one more, shall we? I am a 20-year-old female and my partner is a 21-year-old female. For background, we live in an apartment and we have about, I want to end this story here. And we have about 30 pets.
Are they all cats?
That's too many pets.
Are they all cats?
Nope.
I know it's stereotyping, but
Most of our pets are snakes and rats.
Oh, that's
snakes and rats with 3 dogs. My partner loves snakes, and so I never say no to her bringing home the cold-blooded reptilian friends. But last night, she told me she was getting rid of the only snake I feel bonded to. I told her I was going to be really upset if she did that, as I love this snake. She wanted to trade her for a red-tail boa. Keep in mind, within 2 years, red-tail boas get up to at least 6 to 10 feet in length, and we are nowhere near enough money or credit to buy a house. No landlord even wants ball pythons in their house, let alone a 10-foot boa. I told her how I feel and that I'm deeply upset by her lack of care or my feelings towards the matter. She thinks I'm being unfair.
All right, I'm going to recuse myself from this. And here's a
I have had a snake before. I actually had a snake in college. And actually,
I know Diesel used to have one. I don't know if he
Yeah.
still does or not.
my snake was one of my favorite pets. My snake was one of the best pets I ever had. My snake was a Burmese. It was a Burmese. And you could put your hand in its tank when you got home, and he would just curl up your arm, and then you could just sit there with him curled around your arm, and you watch TV, and he would just sit there all day. He loved it, right? One of the best pets I've ever had.
You could
But-
tell that he loved it.
Oh, dude, he would sit there and he would just push he'd wrap around your arm, push his little head up against your wrist, and then he'd just sit there and flick his tongue out
Yeah,
for hours.
he was listening to the blood running through your veins and thinking, man, that tastes good.
One day.
Yes.
One
He was plotting.
So here's what I'm going to say. I understand the concept of a pet. You know what my dream pet, Lonzo, I've always wanted one, and I will get one when I have the space, is an Irish Wolfhound. You ever seen an Irish Wolfhound?
Yes, I have.
They are dope dogs. They are like the inspiration for the Hounds of the Baskervilles. I cannot wait to have an Irish Wolfhound. There is one reason I have not got one yet, because I don't have space for it, and it would be unfair to the dog.
Didn't think you were going to get a Hounds of the Baskervilles reference
100%.
today.
I am getting an Irish Wolfhound, but I've told people I'm not getting one yet because it would be unfair to the dog to ask a dog of that size to live in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. Once I can afford to get a big house with a yard, I'll get an Irish Wolfhound. That's the dream dog. This young lady is correct. You don't want to take that. And she's not taking that dream away from her partner. But what she is saying is, dude, we don't have the capacity to take care of that animal right now. And that is the correct part of the hardest part of being a pet owner is using logic in emotional situations, right? You ever had to put down an animal? It is one of the harshest decisions you'll ever have to make. But if that animal is suffering, or if you don't have the resources to take care of that animal, it's the right decision, even if it hurts. This is just the preempt to that. She is absolutely the face in this situation.
All snakes should die.
Hater.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Snakes are great.
You want to call me the heel? I'm good with it.
Snakes are great. You're the heel. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, 5 o'clock, Team USA versus Jamaica. Got a couple of text questions about that World Cup qualifier. I'll address those coming up, and then Twitter to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
So one of my buddies who used to work here and was on this station came in one day and his arm was really sore. And like, what's wrong? He's like, my snake bit me. His snake is a python. His entire arm. If I recall, I was taking the raw meat in to feed her.
Yep.
She was hungry, and she snatched onto my arm. It's like, dude,
Yep.
what is wrong with you?
Yep. That's the thing.
And I said then, and I'll say now, I don't think that's legal. But anyway,
have a snake?
That size.
Oh.
I think that would be considered an exotic snake, and I think it depends on if you're in city limits and all that stuff. But.
They're incredibly easy to take care of, but they're very temperamental. If you miss feeding for a snake, they will get aggressive. You have to be on top of your game. But if you keep a snake fed, warm, and happy, they are the best pets.
Do they do tricks? No. Are they gonna greet you when you come home?
Dude, I tell you, mine curled up like the 10 rings and just sat there.
Yeah,
on
I
my
wasn't
wrist. It was
joking
awesome.
about the blood.
You sit there and pet him.
There's pretty good blood flow going right through that wrist right there. I guess I'm just a non-goth city boy who doesn't like the sight of snakes. And someone who's had a couple snakes in their house, one of which we never found. Although I'm pretty sure I found remains of it. Well, I found the remains of a snake when I redid the floors in the room that is now our office.
This is the field where they're playing Canada v. Mexico tonight.
Wow.
No, thank you.
It's Green Bay.
No, thank you.
Might as well be.
No, thank you.
Wait, do they play soccer in inclement weather?
Mm-hmm.
Unlike baseball?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That right there just makes me glad I live here now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's already snowed in Ohio, by the way.
I had a lot of fun in that one night that it snowed last February, and that was enough for me. I was like, oh, cool. That was fun.
At least you haven't experienced the ice storms here. That's rough. We lost power for 3 days. Bob McLean came to my house to bring me to work, and then once we got here said, you have to find your own way home because I had to be here. Because I couldn't get out of my driveway. Because of the hills that we've talked about, I couldn't get up. I couldn't get any traction. I'll take that back. I got up the hill, but just only 2/3 of the way and then started sliding back towards that creek that we just had to put a new bridge over.
The bridge hasn't given out yet.
No, it's good so far. It better last for a decade. Costs a lot of money.
So the Halo Infinite, the release, it's just the beta?
It's just a beta, but it's multiplayer.
Yeah.
So there's actually a single player on it. So, but you can't play it.
All right, heading towards the end of the show. Team USA taking on Jamaica on the road. This one's going to be down in Kingston as the Americans coming off the 2-0 victory over Mexico. We're going to look to string together back-to-back wins, and it would be big. I showed Lonzo during the break just a minute ago the field that is going to be the home of Canada v. Mexico this evening. And I honestly don't know how it's going to work because the snow flurries, it's not a flurry. That's just a straight up snowstorm.
Yeah, that's a snowstorm for sure.
That's a snowstorm coming down so heavy that the whole field is just blanketed in snow. I don't know how you play when the lines are covered, not a little, but like a lot of it, like completely. I don't know how you play. I don't know how that happens.
What do you really need the lines for anyway? I mean, to check and see if someone's offsides, I guess. But
And
I mean,
if the ball goes out of bounds.
well, there's that.
And
but
if the ball crosses the goal line.
I mean, in the end,
pretty much
no,
of the line.
no. I mean, that becomes okay.
Walls are inbound.
Yeah.
It goes in the stands.
It's a
They have to head it back on.
There we go. There we go. If you're,
I just had one of my followers just tweeted back. I'm just imagining going up for a contested head ball and wishing for death. Yeah, ball's gonna be hard as a rock.
yeah, I've played
tonight.
football in the snow, and I've heard other people describe it the same way. There's this. Michael Irvin was describing it the other day. It's tendrils of electricity that just go down your fingers or wherever you hit somebody in that cold and that kind of snow.
Oh yeah.
So I can imagine what it's like. And what color is the ball? Is the ball? I mean,
Tonight it'll have to be bright green.
I hope so. I hope it's
Neon.
not.
So this is a good night for the Americans to pick up some room because one of two things is going to happen. Either Mexico, who we all think is probably the second best team in CONCACAF, statistically speaking right now, the two most likely outcomes of that Mexico-Canada match are that Canada wins outright, in which case the Americans can get a little breathing room over Mexico while having the next team closest to them on the table to be a team that most of us think they're better than. Or it's a draw, which you're hoping for. If you're the Americans tonight, you want to draw. You want Canada and Mexico to finish that thing out level so that they both take one and you go on the road. But all of this is predicated on the Americans being able to beat an inferior Jamaican team. Jamaica's an old team. They don't replace talent the way that Mexico does, the way that the Americans do, the way that the Canadians do. They have got some studs out there, but they're guys that are, what's the phrase, long in the tooth, right? You got to get 3 tonight. You have to go out there for blood. tonight. You have to go out there for blood tonight. You have to take 3. This is not one of those games that you go, win all the ones at home and take ones on the. No. You got to have 3 on the road tonight. It's not a tough place to play. It's not as bad as Haiti or Costa Rica. It's not as hostile as Mexico. You have to have 3.
I'm guessing it's going to be a tough place to play tonight because of the snow.
No. America's in Jamaica. They're in Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm saying it's going to be it's not as hostile of a crowd. All right. Got to get to 3. Got to get to 3. It's not an option. We have to come in here tomorrow talking about the full 3 points. Couple of texts that have come in over the past few minutes at ESPN. I had over 40 snakes at one time. They are the easiest pets to keep if you breed your own feederettes. Yeah, as long as you keep them fed, they're great pets. It's once you miss a feeding that they get aggressive. But so do cats. Rob, did you release the Burmese on the Everglades? No, I did not, but that's actually a huge problem in Florida. The Everglades are being overrun by Burmese pythons that were pets that people let loose in the Everglades. They're an invasive species, and they're out competing the local fauna for resources. So you can go down. Lonzo, I may actually get you your first vacation to Florida here. You can get a permit in Florida that allows you to go into the Everglades and just murder as many Burmese pythons as you want because of how invasive and detrimental they are.
Can I use a cannon?
You can use a gun. You can use a machete. You can get creative with it there, Dragon Ball. You can do whatever you want. ESPN, the girl is in the right on training, but she has to leave the relationship if the dog can never be in the bed. Yeah, I agree. She's absolutely correct. She is not the heel, but neither is the Duke. Because if I want my dog to sleep on the bed with me, that's where the dog is going to sleep. Get over it. Let's see. Been in the hey, would you look at that? Hi, Hannah. Been in the situation with Wesley, and you know how big he is. You try sleeping with a dog whining and crying for 8 straight hours while you're trying to sleep. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta let the dog sleep on the bed. They're family, okay?
You know
Yeah, but it's still traumatic for the dog.
Yeah, well.
Texas says that girlfriend is an evil, blank, cold-hearted, bye shorty, kick rocks. If I'm in a new relationship, like I've only been out once or twice with this girl, and she says that, I'm just nipping it in the bud.
Yeah,
100%.
Have you seen a puppy German Shepherd?
They're adorable.
Yes, without a doubt.
Texter says the proper Southern way of life, you use a buggy at the grocery store. Carpetbaggers use a cart at the super. You realize I'm from further south than here, right?
Yeah, but
I'm from Souther.
They count Florida as Yankee Town because of it's the law to move there eventually if you are from Yankee Town.
Really is. There are so many Ohio State flags in Fort Walton Beach. Let's take a break. Twitter to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. It's ESPN. I know. The computer's jacked. It is what it is. I snuck up on surprise on Lonzo.
I was gonna say I hit it and then it went blank and then it started working. So we're good. We're there.
It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
times more hires than all other sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Post a job and hire ASAP. Visit Indeed.com/career. You and your fellow
a damn near legitimate. I'm not here to judge, buddy. I'm not here to judge, buddy.
I found the ball.
Let me move it 8 feet over here out of the grass.
Okay. I had to do that once because say this is a tree, ball was sitting right there.
Yeah.
So there would be no way I could go.
You got to put it out, man. The old Texas wedge.
Shop on eBay this holiday season to get more for your dough on stand mixers, or get more for your buck on this season's hottest tech and gaming gear. And on eBay, you can even get more Thanksgiving deals with a second helping of savings. The holidays are here. You can get more because you save more on premium brands with eBay's exclusive Thanksgiving deals. Get more when you get it on eBay.
Did you know the arrow in Amazon's logo represents A to Z? Maybe the My Computer Career logo should represent unemployed to employed. Ryan was out of work when he started class. Working for Amazon, making more money than he ever thought possible. Here's a prime opportunity. Go to career.edu and evaluation today. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Not rocket science. Career.edu. Idea is here. With the big carrier, I want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more. Because Great North Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide. With plans $5 a month with no contract. And Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299. All on America's best network. 5G coverage, 5G phone, less money. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed.
This recording.
Papa John's has dropped the apostrophe from its name. So now it's just Papa John's, as in there are multiple Johns who are Papa.
I don't remember where the apostrophe was. So
Between the N and the S.
The
So it
N and
belonged
S,
to Papa
okay.
John. And
Okay.
now they've just gotten rid of it entirely.
All right. Time for Twitter trending topics. What we got?
Why? It launches today
Yes.
in a minute and a half.
At 3 p.m.
For a minute and a half.
No,
you
no,
mean-
no.
I dropped the big green belt off, and I dropped it off with my buddy Andrew, who's the president of the Reedy River Riot. And so his wife was there, Nikki, who is a fabulous person, and she said, "Who's the belt with?" And I said, "It's with Andrew. I just gave it to him." She goes, "Right, but who's the belt with?" And I was like, "The belt's right here hanging on the chair. It's with us." And what she meant was, who is the rivalry with for which the belt was created? But Lonzo, I'm just illustrating the point that, and this may shock some of you, I am dumb. So there's that.
I was going to say, what I said was much clearer than that.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah. All right. That's it for us. We're handing it off to Mark Ryan and Diesel for us.